for us as the afternoon unfolds. Travis Cloak, though, with us on Grandstand AFL. Travis, thanks for coming by.
No problems, guys. How are we?
Good. A wretched day, I imagine, to be sitting here when you see the crowd building and what's at stake.
Yeah, it's pretty frustrating just sitting here watching the boys run out now and get ready. It probably gets a nervous adrenaline going, just wanting to be out there a part of it. But I guess I got a couple on the chin and just look forward to supporting the boys over the next few weeks.
You've been proactive in dealing with your suspension, obviously, within the club. Just tell us what you've done since the match review panel handed down your suspension.
Yeah, I spoke to Mick probably most days this week, and we've gone through it and talked about it. But I apologise to him. We ran through the moment. Really don't understand why it did happen. Bit of just a brain freeze, and yeah, it's a stupid thing that happened. But I spoke to the players, kind of apologised to them, and just said I kind of pretty much put myself before the team and put myself before our goals. So really disappointed within myself, and hopefully the club can come through the win today, and I can be there for them during the week to look forward to the next weekend's game as well.
In the moment that it happened, did you know straight away that you were shot, that that's just not going to play well on the video?
Yeah, after it happened, I really just don't know what happened, but afterwards just said to myself, like, gee, what happened then? What did I do that for? And really focused on the rest of the game to really put myself out there to help my team for that later part of the game and do what I could to improve the rest of the players.
Trav, we were talking, you may have heard just before you come in, that about the need to kick goals, and you're just such a pivotal player in the side today. When you played them in the past, we were talking about one game, 4, 5, 7 and 9 goals. What do you think you need to do to be able to kick more goals against St Kilda? We know they try and strangle you and hold you down to a 0-0 draw, but what do you think needs to be done by the team? Yeah,
they're a very good defence, so we've got to work the ball through and probably just hit up that lead-up play. Don't allow just to bomb the ball long into their defence, and probably work around Gilbert. He's such a dominant player this year and has been the last few, so it's more just to play to our strengths, hit up our tall forwards, but also look to our smaller, Leon Davis, Jared Blair, and they just use those players as well.
Do you think you have to be, and we've said this at times, a little bit, take a few more risks and get through the midfield? At times we know that that your players St Kilda will tend to force you wide and you go around the boundary. Now, you know, as a key forward, it can be very difficult if you're forced too wide. It just hems you in. You don't have multiple options to lead, and the defence can really put you where they want you to put you.
Yeah, exactly. They work a very good zone through the midfield, so they'll have to push you wide, but it's very hard to come back through the midfield. But that is a goal for us. We want to work the ball into the corridor, use the key, and just hit up the ball, just kick them more goals. We had opportunity last game but couldn't convert last time against St Kilda, so it's pretty important for us to get some early goals but also get our conversion rate pretty high.
Travis, Collingwood's stats say that they're a better side this year. Where's the improvement come from?
I think it's come from everyone. We don't have a standout player as such as a Chris Judd, a Gary Ablett. We have good players, but we also have very good depth within our team. We've played numerous players this year, different ones coming in and out, and it's just to show the youngest players coming through. Jared Blair off the rookie list had massive impact the last 2 weeks, and to look in our VFL side and still see Paul Medhurst, Sean Rusden coming back today, Josh Fraser, players like that, which would be getting a game week in, week out in our team.
Do you actually think, you sit around, I know you go to football clubs to win premierships, you're sitting there thinking that you can actually win this premiership, and if you don't win today, do you still think you can?
Yeah, definitely. We've lost 3 games this year and drawn to Melbourne. They were against good teams. If we lose today, we've really got to look at ourselves and go, we need to step up in which areas, but honestly, my personal opinion, I think we can. We've bailed out the last few years right just before the main event, and been very disappointed. There's a lot of hunger within the group, and we're looking forward to going that extra step forward to make the grand final, but not just being there to actually come home with the Premiership Cup.
Travis, Stan mentioned goal kicking before. For you, it's been a conundrum over the years. do you think you're getting better, and what's the mental process that you apply to yourself now?
Yeah, I've spent hours of work, not just on the oval kicking them, but also thinking and going through my routine, looking through videos, cutting it down to very little parts of it. We think we've got a right routine. It's a matter of getting it right and perfecting it out when I need to do it in the main stage. My goal kicking at training's been really good. Before the game's been really good, and in some games really good, but it's the times where I'm not kicking them I've really got to improve on. There's some that are just absolutely not getting where I need it to be, and it's to make the big difference of just making it where I need to kick it. I don't want to be 20 metres out, 5 points down, and we need to kick it, win it to make the premiership or the grand final and miss it. So I want to be wherever I can on the ground, but to feel confident within myself to kick that goal.
Just in addition to that, you played a little more up the field this year. Does that suit you more? Do you feel more comfortable and more free playing that way?
It doesn't really bother me. Wherever Mick puts me, I'm more than happy. If he puts me full back, I'll be more than happy there too. But definitely up in the forward half, it's probably more entertaining. There's a lot more action always going on. There's a lot more on your shoulders to perform, and you want to be part of that moment where we can actually take hold of the game and win it for our team. So there's a lot of really good players in our forward half, but also in our back half that are improving our forward half, pushing forward.
Dawes has been a bonus, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's been fantastic. We knew he could play football. He played some good games last year, but he's since he got dropped, I think it was round 10, came back. He's kicked 10 goals in the last few weeks, which is fantastic, and his development as a player has been astronomical.
I'm interested, as we talk about goals, and you're not there today, but to me, one of the things has been with the Collingwood side, I reckon we know who plays through the midfield. We've got a wonderful group there. I know the skipper's been out for a couple of weeks, but the back line is pretty well set and stuff like that. But you really haven't been able to settle your forward line, and I'm talking about you have Anthony was there for a period of time. You talked about Dawes, Medhurst has been injured, Leon Davis has been injured, and a number of Josh Fraser a period of time. So it just really hasn't, because of injury and a couple of others, really haven't been able to settle that forward group, though, have you?
Yeah, exactly. We'd like to have the same 6 players play every week in our forward half, but it hasn't been the case this year. But I think that's a good sign as well, that the players we have brought in have been able to do the job. They're doing really well. They're not just getting by the kicking goals. I think we've got 3 or 4 players kicking around that 20 goals so far this year, which is really good to see the spread, but also a lot of our defenders and midfield are kicking high amount of goals this year.
Can I just ask, I mentioned a player's name there, and I'm interested in this. I mentioned Josh Fraser, a player who's been a lead around the club, a walk-up start, just out of form at the moment, had some injury, I've got to acknowledge that. I'm just wondering how he's reacting, because, he's been there, he's been playing, now he's back, he's playing virtually in the VFL side for you. How's he going about? How's his leadership, and what is he doing around the club at this point of time?
It's actually quite surprising. He's very up, he's still very confident. It's very easy for a person of his character and his stature around the club just to fall away and accept that the way it is, but he's actually fighting back really well. As you said, he's had a lot of injury this year, and I think that's why he's back in the VFL now. Just get a bit of consistency in his game, get a few really good, solid games under his belt, and hopefully make a really good run for it for the finals this year. And it's probably been blown up a bit more, being him sitting on 199 games and everyone's waiting for his 200th, but I think it's a matter of time he'll be back in the team, and if he's playing down in Geelong today in the VFL, I'm sure he's going to kick a few goals today again.
Travis, these blokes here know that I love Daisy Thomas. He's gone to midfield this year and he's played a fantastic, different sort of disciplined sort of game, averaging nearly 25 touches a game.
Yeah, exactly. We all know Daisy is a very flamboyant, very exciting player, but this year he's changed his game, playing wing, and realistically he's playing the best year of his best football of his career at the moment, and probably pushing for All-Australian selection, which is great for himself, but also for our team. He's adding so much, probably more value to our team than getting 10-15 touches of flary touches. He's getting now 20 quality touches and setting up so many goals for us.
You're keen on the plat, aren't you,
Are you
mate?
giving him any stick over the plats?
No, I don't mind it. He's got a little dready and a little plaid. He comes along with something different. Daisy is a great kid. He's pretty quiet, but he's also very bubbly, and he likes it. He's cut the hair again. It's a bit shorter than normal, but it's doing a little bit, which he's pretty happy with.
Does he know Drew loves him?
I reckon he would know. He does like to know the people out there do like his brand of football, and we all do.
I don't think it's his brand of football.
And it is from the Anzac Day, about his 3rd or 4th game, when he took the mark of the year just about, and about his 4th game and nearly kicked the goal of the day that day.
Yeah, he's got an amazing leap, and just that he's got that touch. He's got the flair where you're chucking the ball in his direction. He's going to do something special with it, and we love seeing it as well. The crowd love it. They get so up on their chairs, and it's great for football to see players like him getting around, but also to see him playing really good football week in, week out.
What's the assessment of your year, Travis? You've had a couple of standout matches. Where's your level of consistency, do you think, this year?
Yeah, I think the last few years have been pretty poor for me. I haven't really got to where I'd like to. I've been working on different parts of my game, but it hasn't been showing on the actual game day, which is pretty disappointing. But I feel my commitment away from actually kicking the goals and doing that standout games is very much improved. I'm a lot more understanding of our game plan and where we're going as a group. So I feel that I'm helping out the other players get into the game. Probably not getting massive touches and kicking goals as I would like, but I'm probably getting a bit more level playing in my football.
But when your head hits the pillow on a Friday night, you're kicking bags of 10, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. You always sit at home, you look through it and you're visualising, you're kicking them straight through the middle, you're never missing, there's never a drop mark, you're always best on ground no matter what, and that's pretty much what you want when you get out there, but it's just a matter of waiting my time.
How many times you kick 5 goals in your career in a game?
I think maybe once or twice.
How many games do you play?
Just over 100 now. It's pretty disappointing when I wrap
I didn't say that. I'm glad you did.
No, I do. I look at it and I look at those numbers. I'm not huge on numbers, but being a key forward, you'd like to think I was kicking more bags of larger numbers.
You got plenty of time. That's the point. You know, it's not about what happened yesterday. It's about what happens in the future.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the key.
And that's probably where I'm at now. I've looked at the suspension last week and gone, that's what happened last week. I've got to look forward to the rest of this year. We've got probably 8 or 9 weeks to go with the finals, so I'm just looking forward to improving, but also kick a couple more bags for us.
Travis, Nathan Buckley's the coach in waiting at Collingwood. He's also the forward coach rather than the midfield coach. How's that been? How's your interactions been with him, and what have you learned from him?
Mate, it's fantastic. Bucks is an elite person off the field, involved in football, just being a normal person. He's an amazing person. He's going to be a sensational senior coach when he takes over, but at this time, he is an amazing forward coach. We could have easily put him in the midfield. He would have run rings around most people with his knowledge, but he's learning the game as a forward coach at the moment, and the improvement that I'm seeing in myself and other players by him is fantastic at the moment.
The media's made a big thing about your round 3 clash, and Mick and Stevie Milne. Anything mentioned inside the club this week?
Not at all. We haven't spoke about it. We spoke about the game. We didn't do very well. We didn't convert very well, but nothing to do with that such incident. I think a lot of it's in the past. We've put it behind it. I think Stevie's moved on, Mick's moved on, and both clubs have, and we're here both to play a really good game of football. It's a good crowd building, and just looking forward to a close game.
How will you go as a spectator?
Yeah, I'll be sitting on the edge of my seat watching. I'm not a very good spectator. I haven't watched the game in a long time where I should be part of, so I'm pretty disappointed sitting up here watching the game.
We appreciate you stopping by. Good luck for the afternoon, and we'll see you back in a couple of weeks.
No problems. Thanks very much.
Travis Cloak, suspended Magpie from today's clash. The two teams out warming up on the field. St Kilda lining up without Nick Del Santo, who is the late withdrawal. That's the insight into one Magpie. Greg, you've written an insight into another today. A terrific piece on Dane Swan, plotting his progress from a low draft pick, from a bloke who was using his AFL profile to enjoy a great social life, to a man who might win a Brownlow medal. How did you find him?
He was terrific. He interviews a little bit like he plays. It's just very straightforward. They say at Collingwood that he's a man, and I've said this in the piece, that he's entirely content in his own skin. He's happy with who he is. He's happy with what he's done. He's happy with the mistakes he's made. He said so in the article. He owns up to all of them. He doesn't blame anyone else for what went wrong as a kid when he played only 20 games in the first 4 years and looked like getting the sack at one stage. And he's improved year by year, and he talked candidly about that. I just think it was a refreshing insight into the guy and into a footballer.
And he spoke, I hadn't read before about the injury that he was suffering in last year's final series and how it curtailed his capacity, and he says he cops the criticism, and the criticism has been forthcoming, that he didn't dominate the final series the way he did home and away football. Yeah,
he had bleeding into his backside, if you like, and into the tops of his legs. He couldn't sleep on one side at night times. He couldn't sit straight in a chair at team meetings. He played on, and he says that was his decision. I think there was a suspicion that he was injured, but it was never admitted to by the club. But again, about that, he was candid. He said, I thought I could make a contribution. I probably did in one final out of 3, as if to say, well, that wasn't enough.
He's the most rotated of the elite midfielders in the competition, which makes him a curiosity, and he's the most workmanlike. He says that it's an easy observation to make against Ablett and Judd, but he has embraced and thrived really in that role.
Well, again, in this total honesty that he applies to himself, and it comes across over and over, he knows what he's good at and what he's not. And he's not good at running 2 or 3 kilometres game after game after game, or quarter after quarter after quarter. He's good for 300 metres at flat rate. And he says that. So he's happy to play that role. He says he knows when he's not getting to the stoppages anymore, and that's when he's got to get off the field, because he's no use to the side if he's not getting to the next stoppage and the next one and the next one. So off he goes. But he also used an interesting phrase which I guess shows where the game's gone. He said sometimes he gets stuck in the game for 7 or 8 or 9 minutes, and he doesn't mean to be, and he's trying to get off, and the runner's trying to get him off, but the unfolding of the play doesn't allow it. Most guys talk about used to talk about being stuck on the bench and not being able to get on. he gets stuck in the game.
Stuck out of the game.
Yeah.
Greg Bourne, the senior sports writer with The Age newspaper. It's a really good piece.
That was an interesting observation, because the honesty he was talking about there, we just saw with Travis Cloak. It was incredible. I thought he was very honest with himself, and that may be a good trait that the Collingwood club have amongst their players, that they are totally honest about their assessing themselves, because that's the most critical thing you can do.
You're just talking about Swan. He's grown in estimation to me. I know we talk about, you can talk about possessions and you can rack up and do all those different things. I actually think he's actually a man who can sense the occasion. And I think he's a leader in that he actually can turn the game around. I think he did last week. I thought that he was the player in that game against Port Adelaide when they were really up against it. Somebody has to make a statement. He's the sort of bloke who can make a statement. It could be with a fantastic bit of play in the back half, but it could be then going forward, kicking that much-needed goal. He just seems to have that ability that puts him, I think, in the elite class. Everybody's got talent, ability, but that's you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, he talked a little bit about that. There wasn't room for it in the article, but he talked about quarter time at Adelaide last week, and he said he and Pendlebury and the others in the midfield, that they have their group meetings, forwards, backs and midfield. He said we couldn't hear what the backs were saying, we couldn't hear what the forwards were saying, so we had to make our own decision. We're going to change this game by ourselves, and pretty much that's what he and Pendlebury did.
More on this afternoon shortly, but a glance back at last night, because it's a significant result in that it opens up the top of the ladder, and any time Geelong gets beaten these days, it's something that must be investigated. What do you make of it, Stan and Mark?
I don't know about being investigated, but they are such an elite group of players that they haven't lost many, and it's like what happened there? Mark Thompson wasn't that way at all. He just said, I want to forget the weekend completely, I want to go and have a snooze and get on with my life, and I think that's probably a reasonable assessment. They were reasonably poor in some areas, but Adelaide and the other side were really good. They actually attacked the game really well. What they've done, and we saw them down in Tasmania, Hawthorn versus Adelaide, and they were terrific for 3 quarters, but they needed to get some game time in their kids. And young Henderson was just sensational. Walker, Sloan, Dangerfield, and Yentz. I mean, those guys are young, enthusiastic, incredibly. Couldn't care less who they play. They just play the game as they normally play.
Don't leave out Sloan.
And they beg your pardon?
Don't leave out Sloan.
I put him in.
Yeah, Sloan.
I did. Yeah. Sloan, and they just play with a freedom. And I mean, even their coach can't stifle them. They just get out there and have a go. And I think that's been a huge difference in their game. More game time for them, the better they will get.
The applause is for the world snooker champion doing a lap of the MCG with his trophy and adorned in a Collingwood scarf. Eddie's got him as well.
I thought that last night we would have seen a sense of excitement which would have come from Adelaide fans to see this emergence of these young players, Mark, you've talked about, playing an exhilarating brand of football, taking Geelong on and probably take them on a bit at their game. It was a incredible rebound, quick, get them back. It wasn't that sort of one just push numbers back and chip it around. I know that happened a bit, but it was to look for the openings. I thought that was fantastic from Adelaide's point of view. I might also say from Geelong's point of view, if you go through it would be very easy to say he played below his best, he played below his best, this wasn't his best, he did this and you could do that, and guess what? They nearly won it.
Yeah.
Is there any sense?
They nearly won it, and there's even a contentious one about hitting the goalpost, which I don't know if it did, and could have even been closer. So there's something about Geelong, and Geelong have been playing some big games, pressure games and stuff like that, slightly off their game. But I wouldn't be reading too much into it.
Is there a history at work here? In 2008, they stayed up for the whole season and lost the grand final in a shock result. Last year, they semi-deliberately took a sabbatical about now and lost some games in a row. Is that going on again here, even mentally, even if it's not a club policy?
I don't know if it is by design, but I think that the comments by Mark Thompson would indicate that he's quite comfortable, because I think he thinks of that as well, that it's far better to lose one now, to look at what we need to do, pull back a bit, and look, also you can't deny the fact from a Geelong perspective, there's a number of players in that side last night who will get better purely and simply because they're coming back from missing injury, like a Corey, even a Scarlett. I know he got kicks last night, but he's coming back and he's been rusty. Ottens is rusty coming in. Mooney's missed a few. So I think all of those things, when you look at it, I think from a coach's perspective, you can put your coach's hat on, you'd actually say, I'm not too upset with this because we've got a bit of ammo to work with here.
Let me ask you a question. Say if Hawkins ever comes back,
yep,
how can they fit him in the forward line?
Well, it's
They're too tall.
Well, he may not because
They're far too tall.
Well, yeah, but I would think that before he went, he wasn't playing as a forward. He was a second ruckman.
Well, that's probably the only spot. Does that mean the Blake goes?
Well,
Again?
what it means is that you've got to play well or you don't get a game. I mean, that's a terrible situation to be in.
On last night's game, Blake goes.
Well, he's the one who's gone every time that the crunch time comes. Blake's the one who's been removed. So basically, it's going to be a tough call. But they're too slow in some areas. They're too tall and too slow in some areas.
Oh yeah, that can happen. I'll say this, Mark, though, that if you look at that game last night, I don't think it was a night where your talls are going to really dominate because it was greasy and it was slippery. Even at ground level, you could just see at different times players left their footing and missed their targets. It's not one where players are going to take a lot of marks in the air, and it's a game. I know that Walker, for example, was very good last night, but apart from that, it really was a game that was won at ground level.
Yeah, where does it leave the Cats? I mean, as you say, where does it leave the Cats? Well, I agree with you. It doesn't leave them in any bad position whatsoever. Some people say, they're not going well enough. Well, as you said, Stan, they only just got beat.
I will throw one in because I've got my thoughts on it. I just don't think Gary Ablett's in a happy place.
No.
And I'm talking here about experience of the body language. You just know when somebody's in a good space playing their game. He's getting testy. He's testy with this and he's testy with that. He's just not in a happy place, and that something needs to be done with the young fellow there, because he saw what he could do in the last few minutes of that game. He nearly turned on its ear and won it for them, but there's just something amiss with the young boy.
When they actually start to get testy, it means they get a little bit selfish. They're actually not playing for the team anymore. That's what you would see when that happens against most sides, and I hope that's not the case, because he's been such an invaluable team man of that case. All of a sudden he's blowing up.
I understand that, Mark, but I'm just also thinking, perhaps we've all been talking about where he's going to go. Is it not getting to him now? Is this now just getting through the exterior, and he's just had enough of it, and it's just taking away from his footy?
I have no doubt about that.
There needs to be a resolution, doesn't there? I mean, there's culture in the AFL that says you don't play for someone this year and announce during the year that you're playing for someone next year. But maybe we've got to get past that. If that's what's on his mind, if that's what's affecting his football and affecting Geelong, then maybe we've just got to acknowledge that he has the licence to go out and say, this is what I'm doing next year, rule it off and play the season out.
Chances are there are blokes going around who've already signed.
Yeah, no doubt.
We don't know about any of them.
It's the right principle for our game, but as a practicality in a unique scenario with Gold Coast and then Greater Western Sydney, it's the wrong policy. If blokes... it would be much easier. I said this in March. It would be much easier for them if they knew. It would be easier for their clubs if they knew. Brad Scott said on TV on Tuesday night that if one of his players he would want to know, and it wouldn't disadvantage him for the rest of the year. But it's just much easier to work through if everyone is honest about what's going on. And this is an AFL construct. This whole team and the system to allow the movement of players in the way that it's happening. It's total artificial stimulus. So it removes itself from what we've known for 50 years.
And maybe we're being a little paranoid anyway, as if Geelong are not going to play Gary Ablett and give him a key role in the team, whether he's made a decision, an announcement or not. Of course they're going to.
Mm-hmm. So the banners are out, the crowd is building. If you're on your way to the MCG, all car parks are now closed. This is going to be a bumper crowd on a Saturday afternoon.
80,000 is the biggest Collingwood St Kilda crowd of all. The MCC are hoping for certain that in a home and away game. Yep. The MCC are hoping that gets broken today.
What do you think will happen?
Too much a little from the heart and a little from the mind. If you look broadly at the record, St Kilda and Geelong have had it over Collingwood and the Bulldogs for the last 3 or 4 years. There's been a clear pecking order, and the most pessimistic part of me thinks that will hold today. But as always in a St Kilda game, probably not by more than 2 goals.
With a winning score of about 10 goals.
Probably.
See you again next Saturday, Greg.
Cheers, guys.
Greg Baum, a senior sports writer from The Age newspaper, who joins us in our pre-match each Saturday afternoon. Coming up on Grandstand AFL, clearly the match of the round. St Kilda and Collingwood now playing for top spot. That's next.
You can get the ABC in more ways.
News.
With the new ABC iPad app.
Entertainment.
We've already got your phone covered.
3G or Wi-Fi.
No matter which mobile you're on or where you are.
Radio.
There are apps or the ABC mobile site.
Video.
And now there's the new free ABC iPad app.
TV and podcast.
So browse it, swipe it, listen and watch. Get your ABC on the move.
This is Saturday Football on ABC Local Radio.
And it's high-stakes Saturday afternoon football with top place on the AFL ladder up for grabs. A crowd of some 80,000 and maybe change expected in. The Saints first out onto the MCG to combat Collingwood. It has a lot going for it. The second game of the afternoon is at Launceston. It is the Brisbane Lions travelling to face Hawthorn. The change there as Sewell comes in for Franklin. Steve Pearce will have scores throughout the afternoon. And if you haven't caught up with the news, Nick Del Santo is out of the St Kilda side and Sean Dempster takes his place. Gerard Whateley and Drew Morford in the call for you.
The Saints just breaking through their banner, which recognises that Zach Dawson reaches 50 AFL games here today. The crowd's a long way short of 80,000 at the moment. Bounce about 9 or 10 minutes away, so they'll still be getting in. I reckon the concourse outside the ground will be chockers. You know when you're going to get a big crowd? When they're right up in the very last row of the grandstand, and that's what they are today.
It should be super. Mark McClure and Stan Elves in to provide all the expert commentary. Mark, show us the way.
Oh, looking forward to it, Gerard. Just a sensational afternoon at the MCG. Cloudy, perfect conditions, hardly any breeze whatsoever. About a 15-degree day in the middle of winter in Melbourne. Clear sky, just gorgeous stuff. Actually, and two great sides to come out on a Saturday afternoon. You couldn't get any better scenario. So St Kilda, they just play their own style of game. They just stick to their own playing. They're a team within a team. They're just a team within the AFL who talk about themselves. The St Kilda plan, this is how we go, this is what we do. And they continue to do it beautifully. They're a very good side. Best team in the competition for the last 2 or 3 years, home and away season. Their defence is so predictable. And when you go down there, Zach Dawson's great effort, 50 games. Came from Hawthorn, was shunned, was pushed in there, and the players now respect him, they love him, and they work with him. Also down there is Sammy Gilbert, who's a real star in the defence. Jason Blake, who is a real doer player, just continues to do his job week in, week out. Jason Graham, Fisher's a beauty down there. And James Gwilt just keeps developing into a player. You can also put Goddard down there at some stage to do some stuff. Dempster may have a run down there in defence as well. But they know what to do, they know where to go, and they do it extremely well week after week. Consistency's their go. The midfield continues to do their job, and Clinton Jones is the perfect example. Today he'll have Dane Swan probably, and again he'll give him the run around the ground like every other player he does. Also in the middle they've got Brett Peake who'll take over, Farron Ray's there, Lenny Hayes, Montagna have a run through the middle, Jason Graham may go through the middle at some stage, Stevens gets a run there, Geary may have a run through, Schneider. They've got so many players who can go through the middle of the ground, and as well as Goddard. They need to in today's game, and the Pies are starting to come out in the ground, Gerard.
And there'll be a big reception for them at the city end of the ground as they emerge up the tunnel and into the light. They're without Travis Cloak this afternoon, who's suspended. So there are difficulties in kicking goals. They've got to solve them in front of this big crowd.
And as we go back to the forward line from St Kilda, who continue to play very well without Nick. Well, he's back. He played last week, got one, had a run, cleaned out the pipes, and away he went. Schneider's down there, Nick Rewelt's there, Justin Kaczynski's down there, Stevie Merlin continues to kick goals, McWalter's there, maybe Goddard will play there as well this week. They can move so many players back and forward in this team, but they are their game style is they squeeze the life out of the opposition. They continue to do so. They tackle and harass better than any other player, any other team in the competition. They own the corridor. They want to own it, and they just fill that midfield up with players. Good luck if you want to get through. And that's how they do it. They use the ball with skill completely. They just pinpoint passes. They have numbers around the ball. They've been the best side in the competition, home and away, for 2 or 3 years. They're hard to beat, let me tell you. Good luck to the Pies. You know, they've shown promise. This is one for them. They must beat one of these top two sides. Last 7 times against the top two sides, they've been beaten every time. Stan went through the goals they've kicked. Hardly any at all, the Pies. But their defence has got great quality, and they've been around for some time. And Pressa Giacomo, Ben Reed's coming in and finding a way. Heath Shaw has been sensational runner out of there. Harry O'Brien, Goldsack and Alan Tuvey just continue to actually push the ball out. They are very settled in what they do. Terrific back six. Their midfield, they've found some pace, and Dane Swan is one. Jared Blair's another one in there. Wellingham is quick as well. You can throw in Pendlebury, who's found some pace. Luke Ball's not all that quick, but you put in Thomas through there, Davis through there, Sidebottom through there, Dane Beams through there. They have got some enormous players, young, youth and exuberance. Can they handle the way they play? Their forward line, no cloak. Never been there before, but they've got Chris Dawes, who's been very, very good this year. They throw in Lee Brown, who always patches up forward. He gives you a hell of a workout, big man. And they've got a lot of smalls around there who can do the bottom work, with Didac, Lockyer, Johnson, McCaffrey, all those sort of fellas down there as well. So they're a terrific side, and we know that. They like to move the ball quickly, and they really do like that. But Mick actually likes to use the space on the outside. This is the thing we talked about previously. The Saints want to go through the middle, and Mick Malthouse likes to use the outside because they've got space. Well, that's been their Achilles heel for so long. They've got good talent and good young talent. If they want to play in the grand final, Stan, that's the only thing you play for. Don't worry about anything else. They need to win this today and show the footy world they're worthy. Because if they don't, trouble's around the corner.
Well said. Very well said. You're right. Look, this is like a mini final, because this is the time where you actually find out things that you need to know. You don't want to wait till the final. And Mark, I agree with you, because every time Collingwood's come up against the St Kilda in the past, their inability to kick goals, they cannot go the same game plan. I mean, you cannot be that pedantic that you're still so. They've got to try something different. They've got to find out, because if they play that way, this plays into St Kilda's hands. There's no doubt about it. The tactics and the game plan will be very, very interesting to see what will happen. I'm also interested to those little battles within battles, and you've gone through the different little matchups. But to me, you know, the Jolly and the Gardner battle, you know, Jolly outstanding, got a lot of credit for what he's now doing. Gardner's also been superb for St Kilda, make no bones about it. The great thing about these blokes that I'm going to be watching, they both love to run forward and hurt you. They'll kick goals. We've seen what Jolly's done the last few weeks. We know what Gardner does. How's that going to go? That little battle in there will be fantastic. Talked about the battle through the midfields and the matchups. It's going to be interesting, because you'll say, well, who is St Kilda going to target in the Collingwood side? They've got to look at Swan. But how many matchups do you really have? Because it's the depth within both these sides. When Collingwood looks at St Kilda, are they going to go to Goddard, or is it going to be Montana, or is it going to be Hayes? Who's it going to be? Because the reality is that we've got to get the matchups right, but we've still got to have that attacking mindset left over, especially through that midfield group. Interesting to talk about the Swan situation. Swan does superbly well. The high number of rotations, one of the things is because when he comes off, he gets back on pretty quick, but he sneaks in under their guard and he gets back on. So today, if he's got Jones, when he goes off, will Jones come off at the same time, or will he wait for him? That'll be interesting in that situation. Also interested in the back half, and you've talked about it. Some real key things we know in the back half where sides are targeting. It's okay, this bloke shots down, but who's their set-up player? Well, guess what? Gilbert's the set-up player for St Kilda. What are they going to do? Are they going to send somebody out to target him? When you look at Collingwood, it's Shaw. Shaw's the one, and we've seen in recent times where sides are going out of the way to try and shut him down. What about Rewald? Second up, coming back. When did he do the injury? Against Collingwood. How's that going to play in his mind? All these fantastic little things. I think we're set up for this will be played like a final. I've got no doubt about it, the intensity. And I'm going to tell you something else. They may not have spoken about it, but they've been thinking about the Malthouse situation, both these teams. There will be a fair bit of feeling in this game, make no bones about it. Set for a real ripper. Despite the fact that I think Del Santo has come out late and will hurt them, I just feel, on history, they just seem to have Collingwood's measure. I'm going to go for the Saints by a whisker.
It's a tantalising prospect. Scott Pendlebury captaining the Pies this afternoon to toss the coin with Nick Rewald, and the Saints to go to the punt road end in the opening term. Their recent 4 clashes, there have been 2 significant failures by Collingwood in finals, in a semi in 08 and a qualifying final in 09, and has now been well recounted. They've kicked 9 goals, 5 goals, 7 goals and 4 goals against the Saints in these recent clashes. 25 goals, 55 in all in the past 4. So they have to find a better way, and so much of the outcome will swing on that. Adam White's in the front row for us. Whitey, welcome.
Thank you, Jared. Perfect conditions for footy. Not a lot of breeze around, certainly overcast, but as I said, perfect conditions for football. I reckon there's about 80,000 fans in at the moment. Nick Del Santo out of the team, back soreness, maybe hamstring related, so they didn't want to take a risk with Nick Del Santo. One play I'm really interested in watching today is Chris Dawes for Collingwood. A fascinating article in the paper today in Melbourne written by Mark Stevens, because Chris Dawes was talking about, yes, I am the number one man in the forward line, no Travis Cloke, but I'm really looking forward to the challenge of it. I was just really fascinated to see how he goes, because he looks like a man that really wants the challenge. So Chris Dawes, one to watch this afternoon.
And he has kicked 19 goals, 9, which in amongst the Collingwood lineup is a rarity indeed. His efficiency in front of goal has been good.
So Stan, you're the Saints by a whisker.
Yes.
Mark?
Yeah, I think St Kilda will win.
Drew?
I'm going for the Saints as well.
I've picked Collingwood. So we'll see. We'll have scores all the way through Hawthorn and the Brisbane Lions from York Park. Steve Pearce keeping a close eye on things there. Players heading to their positions, and some of the matchups about to declare themselves. The winner this afternoon goes outright top of the table at the end of 16 rounds.
And Patterson's going to take the first bounce in the ruck. I've just had a look out there. Gardner looks as if he's going to start on the interchange bench. So interesting one for me.
Paddo's down there alongside Nick.
Is he?
Yep.
Well, who's in the... Oh, Koziski.
Kozzy, yeah.
Kozzy. Oh, Koziski. First ruck.
I've just got to say, what a thrill it is to have Riewoldt back. He made his return last week, but it was at the Gabba. It was on television. He's back in Melbourne on the big stage for the first time in 3 months.
Montagna and Thomas are starting on the wing.
So that familiar sense of anticipation rolls around the MCG. It's Collingwood and St Kilda with high stakes and a bumper crowd, and it's all on Grandstand AFL on ABC Local Radio, Radio Australia and Digital Radio. To get us underway, Drew Morford.
McCaffrey Drew's gone to Gilbert, has a shutdown roll.
What a stage we have. There's the bounce. And Riewoldt gets his hand to it. Drove by Ball, the ex-Saint, who works the ball up the ground. The hand pass comes out to Thomas, who penetrates the 50, but Fisher cuts it off for the Saints and marks just inside defensive 50. They're a very difficult defence to penetrate. Short pass out to Clint Jones. Down the line he goes. Oh, Montagna had it spent and dropped the mark. He's playing on Thomas out on the wing. And he had it spent and dropped an absolute pudding. Whitey.
Quite a few changes both clubs didn't expect, because the runners were out before the siren sounded.
From the tap, shark by Hayes, worked it around to Patterson and Geary, and he flicked the Fisher and back to Geary. They've given some ground here, the Saints, but they retain possession. Gilbert's kick is loose, and Thomas is straight onto it. Sets it inside the 50. Over the top, though, of Dawes, and it breaks down. Dawson and Goddard and Fisher combined. Through centre half back now for Graham. Lofts it over the top with a hand pass to Geary, and he kicks to Riewoldt. True centre half forward to Montagna. He's gone for Kaczynski. Thomas against him, and the bigger man marks.
Oh, great start for Kozzy. It's the start he needs.
And look where the Saints went, right down the green strip down the middle.
Justin Kaczynski found himself a beautiful mismatch at the top of the goal square. Settles down over his shots. Taking the deep breaths, hunched over the footy. Kaczynski rises, eyes off the goal front to give the Saints the right stance. He does. 2 minutes in, St Kilda has a go.
Yeah, we talked about owning the corridor and owning the middle of the ground, and exactly what we saw from half back, and Zach Dawson grabbed the ball and then pushed it through the middle through a array of handballs on to Nick what's his name? Riewoldt. I forgot who he was. Nick Riewoldt's
Jack's cousin.
I've heard of him, yeah. Nick Riewoldt's chest, but you know what? He didn't go back. He played on straight away, and Kozzy was running the goal on his own with a mismatch with Dale Thomas. There was only one winner going to be there, and that was the big fella, Justin Kaczynski. He went straight back. It was a great goal, but they used the area you've got to use at the MCG, the middle strip, straight down it.
Yeah, great move to get him in the ruck, isn't it? First off, to get him in, get him running around, totally involved in the game.
Jolly's been in such superb touch in recent weeks. And a lot of pressure on Kazitsky, and he's been given the challenge right from the word go. Well, Jolly wins this and hits it straight to Cozzy. And Cozzy's kick goes nowhere, straight to ball, a few metres away. Big leap in the middle there. Mark dragged down by Brown, not sure it went 15. Hand pass to Didak. Long kick, Dawes. Dawes a chance in the goal square, but they get back, they double team him. And the Saints defence rush it through for a behind. And Collingwood went straight down the middle. Collingwood's first scorer behind, St Kilda 1 goal.
Steve Pearce, York Park.
3 minutes gone, Jared, in the first term, and the Hawks 2 straight 12 lead Brisbane yet to score.
Goddard to kick in for the Saints, who are largely in white this afternoon. Long and direct. Blake was his target. Jolly the spoil over the top, and he punches it out of play. The Magpies in there, just about the all black. Black shorts and the black socks, and Kilda the largely white strip down the middle with just the thin stripes of red and black down the side. Kicked off the ground by Jones at the stoppage. Montagna, a hand pass, didn't go anywhere, and it's out of play. 55 away from the Magpies' goal. Hoyt back into play. Kazitsky and Jolly. Jolly camps in front. Knocks it down in that direction too, but Jones pinched it for St Kilda through Montagna and Goddard. Gilbert got caught with it, and he is penalised for a throw. The Magpies through Luke Ball grab a free kick, but Ball at 45 is at the far end of his range. Read the play well, broke his old teammates down.
Well, the Saints will know how far he can kick it.
There's 3-4 back now on the goal line. Kazitsky camped there as well. One Magpie. Luke Ball sets himself from 45. It's got enough, and the direction is good. Ball puts the Pies in front, coming up to 5 minutes. 1-1-7 to St Kilda 1 stretch.
Well, it's already an intriguing contest. There's no doubt about that. And we've just seen that situation where it's going to be pressure, it's going to be involvement. And St Kilda got a goal first off by bringing that ball through the centre of the ground. They attempted to do exactly the same there, but Collingwood was onto them, and Ball just knew it. It was a fantastic tackle, wrapped the one arm up, just meant that Gilbert couldn't get the other hand free, went back, and much to the delight of his teammates, from about 45 metres out, kicked the ball well and truly right through. Really good game. Still that air of anticipation right around the arena.
Collingwood have 2-1 on the members' wing, and St Kilda have 2-1 on the southern stand wing. And guess who's been left on his own? Swan, of all people. Hooked down in the middle, socket off the ground by Jones, straight onto the chest of Revolt, who marks at centre half forward.
Yeah, Drew, part of that, Jones, the tagger, he's actually gone to Didak. And so, right at this point of time, Swan's just sort of floating around doing what he wants to do.
So here's the St Kilda captain, kicking from 52 metres, gives it everything he's got, but leaves it outright and kicks it behind. The Saints 1-1, Collingwood 1-1, and we've played 6 minutes. Adam White.
That's as much as Justin Kazitsky is going to have in the ruck. 6 minutes on, he's off for a break, and Michael Gardner comes on for his first turn in the ruck for St Kilda.
Johnson darts out into the back pocket on the restart. Kicks long for Jolly. Came in short. The ruckman went to spoil though. Down to Reed and on to Ball. The Magpies combine at half back. Off to Shaw and now to Didak, who kicks around the boundary for Lockyer. They play wide. Lockyer looks into the corridor. He won't come though. He's got his numbers out the outer side. Didak pushed off his kick, but he knocks it on to Swan. He marks it 65 out from goal. And he is right on the boundary line and staying there with the short kick to Davis. Paid as 15. Davis runs into the field of play, wedges it at goal. They wrestle in the square. The Saints have superior numbers and bump it through for the rushed score. And that score separates the two teams.
Early days looking around the ground, I've got a feeling that it might be Goddard and Swan going head-to-head at this point of time, but they're just playing their own game.
36 players in one half of the ground. Montagna kicks in for the Saints, comes towards the broadcast side, and knocked out of bounds for the Pies by Golczak, who's just come off the bench. His first involvement.
Jones has got Didak, so that would leave them free.
Throw in at half forward. Gee whiz. Players go down left, right and centre, just away from the contest. Comes to Swan, kicks to full forward. Dawes is there. Off hands, and McCaffer. Last touch of the ball before it goes over the boundary line in the forward pocket. Throw in about 8 metres around from the behind post. 8-7, Collingwood lead early. Chance for the Pies here at the throw-in. Jolly against Gardner. And Fisher over the top. Ball comes down to the front. Pendlebury a little kick, doesn't go anywhere. Off hands it comes to Leon Davis, whose kick is smothered by his opposite number 1, Graham. And the ball over the boundary line for another throw-in forward pocket.
Adam White.
They're just confirming that matchup with Didak and Jones. Didak came to the bench for a break, so Jones came off as well.
Deep forward for the Pies, the throw in. Gardner's tap is shark by Brown. Hand passes to Reid. Can have the shot from 47. Kick it flat and hard off hands of Jolly. Run through for a conceded score by Geary.
Yeah, we've got 36 players all in the Collingwood forward half at the moment.
It's 9-7. Steve Pearce, Launceston.
Jared, 9 minutes gone in the first quarter, and it's all Hawthorn. They lead 3 goals 18 to Brisbane's 0.
Goddard's kick in is pinpoint, and the mark taken by Fisher just inside defensive 50. 3 behinds by Collingwood, all rushed by the Saints. Fisher goes towards the Great Southern Stand near the boundary line. Revolt in a contest with Presty. No mark. Comes to Brown of the Pies. Gets the hand pass away. Ben Johnson with a bounce and a lazy-looking kick, centering the ball to centre half forward. Thomas the only hope. Montagne's there first. Thomas takes him to ground. Terrific contest. Ball still there, bobbling about. A dozen players there. Wilt has it for the Saints. Stood up in the tackle. And the umpire is going to ball it up. If you want finals footy, if you want 2 blokes going hard at the ball, wow, Thomas and Montagne was great.
Being played in close confines, as was well anticipated. In the Magpies forward line. Blair with a hand pass. Didn't find a teammate. Cut off by Montagne. Got it to Peake. There's a whistle on the play. It's a free kick to Lee Montagne at centre half back for the Saints. Players break further down the field.
Revolt to the bench.
Montagne plays on with his hand pass to Peake. He'll play the southern side of the field. He kicks long for Stephen. Tuvey beats him hands down. Hand pass to Shaw. They work it wide again, the Magpies. Back in it comes to Tuvey, who reaches the logo. It's a high ball to the 4-9, tough to mark. Here he goes to spoil. It slips to the back. Montagne tidies up for the Saints through Dawson and Peake, and now to Gwilt. He's caught by Davis. He got it off though to Dawson. Out to Geary. Short kick clears the defensive 50 for Blake, who's called to play on, and backwards he goes.
Back near defensive goal square. Fisher has it. Kicks out of bounds on the full. Well, good pressure was put on there by Brown.
Who's having a very good start to the game, Lee Brown. Up the forward line on Blake. He's been very active, involved in a lot of work already.
Big Leroy Brown. His ankles are in the gutter, virtually leaning against the fence at the top of his run-up. And the man on the mark is only about 25 metres out. But a very tight angle for Brown, who's going for the Pies' second goal. After his effort, he deserves it.
Oh,
that's good. It's a beautiful kick. Lee Brown, terrific goal. He's kicked just 7 goals this year. That's his 7th. Collingwood 2-3, St Kilda 1-1.
Oh, the Pies will be wrapped in that. Work on the mark. It's an old thing that you need to do. Put your hands up and force them to kick it over the top of your hands. All of a sudden, Fisher just couldn't do it. He couldn't hit the spot. He pushed him wide and kicked it out on the floor. And then to finish it off with a goal from the boundary line, Lee Brown's been in 4 or 5 different things, but his best work was on the mark there, standing there, pushing, putting pressure on the person who kicked the ball. The other pressure they put on was a beautiful tackle by Ball. They'd be very pleased with the pressure they've applied to the Saints at the start of this game.
Can't be the only one thinking that was a total shock that Lee Brown would kick it from there.
Maybe Brownie himself.
Collingwood by 8 points, bounced in the middle of the G. Comes the way of Goddard though. He'll put the Saints forward. Harry O'Brien got half volleyed. Johnson swipes it clear but not far enough. Milner's in pursuit. Reid goes with him. Milner merges with it. Gets it to the boot. Rolls it at goal. It's across the face. It's a minor score. 1-2-8 the Saints. 2-3-15 the Pies. Steve Pearce, York Park.
13 minutes gone in the first quarter. Hawthorn by 19. They're 3 goals 1 to Brisbane's nothing.
Harry O'Brien kicks in delightfully, and Wellingham takes the mark at right half-back. Massive crowd at the MCG on a perfect day for footy. Light breeze, overcast conditions. Wellingham goes back to Harry. He takes the mark. It's closed down by Montagna, and O'Brien gets on his bike, gets to the 50, kicks the ball, who marks close to the ground and close to the boundary line, just over half-back. Goddard having a break for the Saints. Ball kicks to the wing, and Thomas takes the mark right near the interchange gate through centre wing. Collingwood 2-3, the Saints 1-2. Again, Collingwood going around the boundary line. Kick by Thomas up towards half-forward, and it is knocked away by Gardner, who works in front of Wellingham, who a second ago was at half-back. Here he was at half-forward, but it's out of bounds for a throw-in.
Drew already. Oh, sorry. Wait for the next bit of play.
Yeah, it's in. Patterson, the third man up for the Saints. Down to Peake, dragged off the footy by Didak. Blair can't get through. Stan.
Already one of the things we're seeing here is that St Kilda will push numbers back, as we know, and the Collingwood players are not sitting back. They're actually following them. They're just so therefore sometimes we're getting every player on the field all in one little zone. It is just man on man all over the ground.
50 from the Collingwood goal. Lovely knock down the way of Swan. Bounces it up to full forward. Gilbert takes it. Reasonable evasion. No good from Blake. Dropped the footy cold. McCaffer hand pass near Didak. Has insufficient support. And Gilbert in the back pocket. They're under pressure. Ray to Peake. They've lost it. Thomas hand pass to Didak. Couldn't get his boot to it. They're all too close to each other. Peake is down with it. There must be a claim to hold the ball here. No.
Brave umpire right in front of the Collingwood Social Club.
Brett Peake seemed to fall on the footy at the top of the goal square. He was wrapped up by Dawes. No adjudication. Kazitsky slaps it out toward the boundary and sees it there on the bounce.
Michael Vozzo. Inside 50s are the Pies 9-3. So they've got them on the scoreboard by 7 points and having the better of play. Here's the throw in. Jolly taps to the back. It spills. Kick by Swan, smothered in the middle of the pack. Out of there by Graham for the Saints. Clears the 50. Goes past Milne to Johnson. Ben Johnson sockers towards the boundary line. And he's going to get a free kick. It's against Milne.
And he's got the job on him. He's following him everywhere, Ben Johnson.
Too far out. Left half forward. The kick by Johnson down towards the pocket. And Dawes marks. He was behind Dawson, but he worked him under the ball, outstretched him and marked easily. Well, Chris Dawes could have a massive influence here today in the absence of Travis Cloak. 19 goals, 9 for the season. Massive stage. Tight angle. Distance only about 30 metres. Dawes kicks it. Well, what about the goal to Brown, the goal to Dawes, and Collingwood have made a terrific start. They're 3-3 to 1-2.
Yes, they are, and they've certainly, I agree, they've got the better of this play. Thought it was interesting that Dawes, in a little article that he wrote, said that he was confident going to this game, and the reason was that St Kilda defenders aren't big bodies. He's talked about some of the other games he's played on the bigger, stronger players, and he just felt that situation, and that illustrated it, because it should have been just a 50-50 contest, but he was too strong for Dawson and just pushed him out of the way. And they'd be thrilled right at this point of time, because their two key forwards have just been very, very good for them. I mentioned Brown before, covering a lot of ground, and he's now gone into the ruck. And interesting, no, Jolly hasn't gone to the forward line. They've gone small.
This is the start Collingwood needed. 13-point leaders. Goddard tried to paddle out of the middle. It got traps all in there. Adam White.
Well, he's not in the ruck stand because he has come for his first break of the afternoon. So 15 and a half minutes on the ground before his first break on the bench.
Steve Pearce, the Lions still nil. Nort, zip, zilch.
That's what I was thinking, love. 17 minutes gone, they are still ziply nothing. Diddly squat. Hawthorn 25, 4 goals, 1. So Hawks ahead by 25.
Thanks, darling. Reid marked at centre half back. He'll go out to the left for Johnson after St Kilda won the clearance from the middle. It amounted to nothing. Johnson plays the southern side. Dawes hits the pack and Geary hard. He's given away a free kick though. His intentions quite clear in his actions though. Geary's free kick between half-back and the wing. He'll give ground. Blake across full bat to Gilbert. The Saints look out the broadcast side. Peake was on a lead. Gilbert ignored him. Has to kick longer. It's going to come up short of Kazitsky. Swan goes back and marks. Good turnover for Collingwood.
Well, the Saints have got two back covering it up at the moment because they're actually getting flogged in every area.
Sideways, the kick to Pendlebury. Put it a little bit too high, but Didak still took the mark with Jones having a fresh area on the spoil. Didak back to Pendlebury, dropped it, has to get away from Milne, got caught, lost it. Fisher for the Saints on the wing to Hayes, who got dumped in the tackle of Johnson. Fisher has to go again, they drag him down. The Magpies playing with terrific intent. They trapped the ball at right half forward, leading by 13 points.
Yeah, Lenny Hayes went for a ball then that wasn't his. Here's the bounce at half forward. Brown beats Kazitsky in the ruck. It comes to Swan. His hand passes blocked. Wow, high tackle by Davis. That's how the umpire sees it. Free kick to Goddard. Brendan Goddard at half-back for the Saints. Been put off their game a bit here.
Can't get across the centre, Drew. Cannot get across the centre.
So Goddard goes back all the way to full-back. Blake takes the mark and switches towards the great southern stand side where Dawson marks. Gilbert just outside the 50. Tries to work around Thomas. Gets past him. Good footwork. His left foot kick is not too flash, but it bounces on and on and on. Taken by Gardner. Gets the hand pass back. Here come the Saints. Graham has it. Hand pass to Montagna. Front edge of the square. Gets the hand pass to Hayes, who's caught. Montagna backs up, shoots for goal, and bounces it through for a behind.
Gee, that was the first bit of run they had, but you know, it was an uncertainty every way. Every way. Just wasn't slick, and the reason is outstanding Collingwood pressure.
Kick into Wellingham, on to Swan, breaks through defensive 50, has a bounce, long around the southern side. McCaffrey against the field, he brings it to ground and Lockyer sweeps onto it. Hand pass to Thomas, caught, but he got it back to Lockyer. He got dispossessed. Hayes trying to barge his way through, did a good job. Hand pass to Graham, gets it off to Geary, on now to Schneider, right in the middle of the G. He goes out to the left, Revolt really stretching, lets it land, it bounces past him. Presti caught by Revolt, he just about threw it. He punched it after tossing it up. He gets it to the boundary and he gets away with one.
You can feel the Saints just lifting the ante, just pushing it up a little bit higher, testing the opposition.
He was testing Rui's hamstring as well.
I'll say.
Throw in at the 50, won by Gardner. Well, the ball comes down to Ball, who is slung to the ground and gets the free kick against his old team. Luke Ball, and Revolt got him. Kick by Ball out towards centre wing to Brown, who's made a great start and takes the mark on Gardner. Little hand pass away to Swan, only about half a metre away. Swan gets some backup from Shaw, who kicks it onto the chest of Sidebottom, in between wing and half forward. He's got Jolly out wide. He goes in that direction and Jolly slides in. Drops a mark that he should have taken. And now it comes from Kilda's way. Good use of the body. Clears the path for Peake. He's too slow. And he's caught holding the ball, and Collingwood are tackling the pants off the Saints at the start of the game.
Blair with this free kick. Up the line he goes for Beams. Two lengthy kicks away from goal. Beams is not going to test what's forward. He's going back to Prestigiacomo. Now he's got the spread on to his left. His kick is a howler. Tried for Thomas. Dropped by McWalter. Gave Thomas a second look and the Pies get away with it. Tuvey kicks up to half forward. Davis marks. Wants to go to full forward. Dawes is his target. The kick is poor. It pitches against the boundary and out of play. Adam White.
Oh, gee, Nick Rewalt came to the bench a short time ago, and for a second there I thought he may have had problems with his hamstring. He is sitting on the bench talking to the medical team. I think he's okay, but a couple of anxious moments.
Left forward pocket for Collingwood. Beams first possession from the throw-in to Wellingham to Pendlebury. Gives some ground to Tuvey. Back to Pendlebury. There's 65 out from goal. Pendlebury took 3 or 4 options, ended up kicking pretty loosely to full forward. It takes a Collingwood bounce. Oh, Dawson took it. He got one right around the chops. Oh, holding the ball. He got caught around the chin, didn't he? Heath Shaw went in with the swinging arm.
You're spot on, Jared. I mean,
Dawson's got one right around the mouth. A slap to the face, and it's been called holding the ball. Dear me.
That's Zach's lot in life, it seems.
So Heath Shaw, with a free kick he should never have been awarded. He's only 25 metres out from goal. As good as directly in front. Shaw takes his set shot and rams it home. And ain't that a slap in the face? 4-3-27 Collingwood, St Kilda 1-3-9. We've gone 23 minutes of the opening term. Adam White.
Jared, possibly a big story developing here on the bench. I mentioned that Nick Riewoldt came from the ground, did seem to be in a little bit of discomfort. He did a little bit of a walk through along the bench with the physio. Now he's with the doctor. Now what they're doing at the moment is just having a look at his knee, and maybe behind the knee, maybe it's related to the hamstring, maybe it's not, but he certainly seems to be in a little bit of discomfort here on the bench.
You can certainly see the difference in the Pies. They are tackling with intent, incredible intent. They want to hurt the opposition, and they are doing so. Their harassment has been much greater than the Saints, who we praise for that. Well, they've got to lift a bit because the Pies are 4-1.
Good starters, Collingwood, but sometimes slow finishes. Gardner wins in the middle. It comes to Swan, who has a bit of an air swing. Gathered by Goddard, whose hand pass isn't good, to Schneider, and there's a high tackle in there, and the free kick will go to Collingwood. This will be taken by Blair, playing in just his third game. Jared Blair from Wonthaggi.
Goddard hit him around the head, Drew.
No. He's a little, isn't he? Oh, Harry O'Brien drops an absolute sitter. A lot of easy marks dropped here today. He goes in for the fight and emerges with the ball against Stephen. O'Brien, well played, kicks up towards the 50, but his kick's astray, marked by Geary. Hand pass on to Graham, and the Saints with nobody to kick to up forward. Graham dodges and weaves. He kicks over the circles, all Collingwood, and the mark taken by Goldsack inside the centre square. Collingwood 27, leads St Kilda 9 after 24 and a half minutes. Now Johnson, hand pass away to Luke Ball, out towards the wing, and Wellingham takes the mark on the members' side. He's got Leon out wide, who takes the mark in between wing and half forward. Good setup by Collingwood, who are killing the Saints at the moment with Riewoldt on the bench. Things not going well, but Rui's up on his feet, looking as though he's about ready to come back on. The kick backwards, O'Brien marks.
O'Brien does like to have a bit of a gallivant. He does again. He takes him on. He's run a mile. He sets it up inside the 50. He didn't bounce it, incidentally. Jolly has to go the spoil from behind. Goddard onto the loose ball, though. Hand pass to Fisher. Short kick to Jones, and he'll take a moment in the back pocket. He needs options outside the defensive 50. There's nothing there for him. Hand pass to Goddard. He's got the same problem. He's kicked it into the man coming at him. It takes a Collingwood turn. Swan dispossessed, though, by Goddard, who fights on gamely. Beams crashes in. Swan follows up. Gets it out to Lockyer. Kick smothered. Ricochets into the grasp of Jones for the Saints. Bounces it to the defensive 50. Onto it is Thomas. He's dragged down and he threw it away because he had one arm pinned. They lead by 18, though, the Pies.
Whitey.
Sorry, Drew, just the latest on Riewoldt. The doctor went back to him again, and Nick actually said, I'm all right, I want to come back on. So a little bit of an exchange on the bench, and I reckon he will, but we just got to keep an eye on him for the next 10 minutes or so.
Fisher marks the free kick taken by Stephen. Fisher hoists it long and high, half back to half forward. It's punched to the front, goes to Gwilt. Gwilt kicks to an open forward line. Lands in no man's land. Sits up on its point, taken by Gardner, 53 out. And the kick for Peake. It bounces on. Peake gathers close to goal and kicks it. Misses. He missed it from only about 3 or 4 metres out. He was running towards the behind post and had to hook it back and missed it. So nothing going right for the Saints, who are 1-4. Not much going right for the commentator. Collingwood 4-3.
He didn't so much hit the post as hit the flag. He took the flag clean off the back of the post with the kick. Pendlebury marked the kick and got it out to Wellingham. Collingwood slow going out of defence. Gives us a chance. Quick check with Steve Pearce.
Hawthorn by 38 points, 27 minutes gone. Jared, 6 goals, 238. Brisbane 0.
Wellingham, long kick out of defence. Gathered off the ground by Sidebottom. Worked it around with Pendlebury. Kick beyond halfway. Davis and Jones at the back. Brown runners into the play again for Collingwood. Bounces it up to half forward. Cut off though by Fisher. Works it around with Blake. Now to Gilbert under pressure. Quick of hand though to Jones. Looks down the members' wing. Rebolt back onto the ground and into the action. Willingham makes the spoil though. Gathered by Sidebottom. Taken high in the exchange. It's a Collingwood free kick on the members' wing. 27 and a half gone. 4-3 to 1-4. The Pies make the early running.
Yeah, they've ridden the bumps, getting the free kicks and outplaying the Saints. The winner goes to top of the ladder after last night's defeat for Geelong. Sidebottom goes across the ground, well delivered, and Reid, who's really stood up at centre half back this year, takes the mark. Is left footed a half forward, well delivered. Shaw marks near the front edge of the centre square. Kick by Shaw. Davis on a good lead, marks about 45 out, goes to ground as though he's been shot. You get a poke in the eye, or what was it? Well, I'm not sure anything happened then, but he made the most of it. He already had the mark, just kicked the goal.
Tell you what, he's looking better than he has all year, though. He's up and about, he's leading, he's coming up to attack the footy. It's very, very good signs for him and the team.
15 goals, 18 for the season to Leon Davis. He's going to have to kick this from about 50 metres out and about 6 paces in from the boundary line at the city end of the MCG. Good looking drop punt. It's left all the way. And a hook. 4-4 to 1-4. And we're deep into time on first quarter. Adam White.
Gee, Drew, there's been a lot of action down here in the first quarter. Brett Peake has just been taken from the field with the doctor. He ran from the field, but straight down to the rooms. I reckon he might have injured himself when he slightly slipped having that shot at goal in the goal square earlier.
Schneider on the kick in for the Saints. Well outside the defensive 50. Reid made the double-fisted spoil. Down to Milne though. Hand pass almost intercepted. Jones still there for St Kilda as they toil on, and Patterson with some high contact. Patterson's free kick at halfback. Hand pass to Goddard. Again, they look to go sideways.
Trouble.
Risky kick. Shaw closes on Gilbert. Shaw makes the spoil but loses his feet. Gilbert got caught by Davis but slipped the hand pass away to Dempster. It was hard work, but they got it to half forward where it was cut off by O'Brien. He kicks it over the top to Ball. Works it from the logo now onto Tuvey. Up at half forward is Beams. 75 out from goal. Beams looks inside the forward line. Sets it in that direction now. Sidebottom's got 2 to beat in the square, and Patterson takes the relieving mark right on the quarter-time siren. Collingwood's previous encounter with St Kilda, they kicked 4 goals for the night. They've kicked 4 in the opening term to set themselves up an 18-point lead. 4 goals for 28 to St Kilda, 1 for 10. Still eyes to the quarter-time huddle because these things have been known to take a curious turn, but everyone's keeping their peace and away from each other. And Mick Malthouse just quietly out to his own team. The goal kickers, Ball, Brown, Dawes and Shaw for the Pies. For the Saints, only Justin Kazitsky. Collingwood by 18 points over St Kilda at York Park. It's a ritual slaughter already, Steve Pearce.
Jared, it is. That's pretty accurate. Took 30 minutes for Brisbane to get their first goal, but they finally did when Luke Power just slotted one, but they still trail by 33. Hawthorn 6-3-39, and Brisbane 1 goal straight, and the Sirens gone with Roughhead with a chance to slot Hawthorn's 7th, so it has been an utter slaughter in the first quarter.
We'll stay with you for the kick and get the official quarter-time score, Steve.
Righty-ho. Well, Roughhead just lining up on the boundary line. It's a fairly tight angle, just in the forward pocket. And it's a very tight angle. So he's tried to banana it round, and it's a pretty decent kick, and he's got it. He's slotted it. Jared Roughhead makes it an utter disaster first quarter for Brisbane. So it's just do my maths there. 7-3-45. I think that's right. To Brisbane's 1 goal straight. Yeah, 7-3-45. So 1 goal straight. So the lead for Hawthorn, 39 points at the first break.
Given we are in election mode, you'd nearly call that. Hawthorn by 39 points at the MCG. It's Collingwood by 18. This is Grandstand AFL on ABC Local Radio, Radio Australia and Digital Radio.
Change your life. Change the planet. Grow organic. Organicgardener.com.au. The team at ABC's Organic Gardener are thrilled to announce the launch of the magazine's new website. In addition to the print magazine, the website will keep you up to date with organic gardening, lifestyle and living. On the new website, you'll find blogs, selected articles from previous issues and practical gardening tips from the Gardening Australia TV show. Visit organicgardener.com.au.
Grandstand AFL.
Thomas against him and the bigger man, Mark. Oh, great start for Cozzy.
To give the Saints the right stuff. He does. Through Montagna and Goddard. Gilbert got caught with it. And he is penalised for a throw. Luke Bull sets himself from 45. It's got enough. And the direction is good.
Fisher has it. Kicks out of bounds with the ball. Well, good pressure was put on there by Brown. It's good. It's a beautiful kick. Lee Brown. Terrific goal. Left half forward. The kick by Johnson down towards the pocket. And Dawes marks. He was behind Dawson. Distance only about 30 metres. Dawes kicks it.
He got one right around the chops. Oh, holding the ball. He got caught around the chin, didn't he?
Grandstand AFL on the ABC Local Radio.
Collingwood make a good start. They're trying to end a losing streak against St Kilda. 18 points at quarter time. Mark McClure, Stan Elves.
Fantastic quarter by Collingwood Footy Club. The game really played on their terms. I thought they were superb. After the initial goal from St Kilda, where Kaczynski started in the ruck, had the opportunity and ran forward, took the mark and kicked the goal, and they looked fantastic. But from then on, it was all Collingwood. Collingwood, I thought, were just absolutely sensational. Their tall forwards were on top. They became really good targets. Dawes down there, but Brown was the bonus for me. Brown just coming up, he alternating in the ruck with Jolly, but his ability to get in and set them up was just superb. They were winning around the packs, doing extremely well. But the thing that stood out to me was pressure, the pressure that came on. And it started with Collingwood's obviously intention. We know that St Kilda will push numbers back and prepared to do that, but Collingwood were intended, no, we're going to follow them. So wherever they go, we're going to follow their men. It meant that they put enormous numbers in the Collingwood forward line at times, but Collingwood didn't care about that, because what it did, it just forced an indecisive St Kilda to start to panic and try and get the ball out. They were under enormous siege. The pressure was just sensational from that point of view. And then when they finally did penetrate, St Kilda were able to get the ball out. The half-back line, I thought, of Collingwood was superb. It's interesting to me that Heath Shaw, I said, not only playing in that back area, but he was able to go forward and kick the goal. And he actually laid the tackle from about 20 metres out, such as their efforts. Then when the ball went forward, and we're watching Rewald, started with Prestigiacomo, but then in the finish he had Harry O'Brien. O'Brien has just been a rock down for them. The difference in how they bring the ball out is quite marked too. St Kilda under pressure, forced to go sideways, very static, can't get it going. When the ball goes into the St Kilda forward line, the rebound by the Collingwood defenders just sets that really scene, and they're just fantastic. St Kilda under enormous siege. Under enormous siege, they've got to try and find some composure, because right at this point of time, Collingwood have been fantastic. 4-4 to 1-4, and I might say that scoreboard is flattering St Kilda.
Certainly is, and Ross Lyon will be down there applauding his defence. I think his defence have tried to outnumber the opposition. They've got across and they've helped, but the balls come in so often they just can't stop it. And he'd be saying, take them on. The only time they did take them on, and Gilbert was the one who ran, they forced a goal up the other, almost forced a goal at the other end, and Peake should have kicked that goal, but it was forced because he took them on and put some doubt in the opposition. They haven't done enough of that. They're unsure with their first thoughts. They're not doing the first thought that comes into their head. The first thought's always the best in this caper. Do it every time. You'd be saying, let's start again. Only 3 goals down. The Pies, Mick Mould has to be absolutely ecstatic. The pressure he's put on, ball tackle, and Brown on the mark to put his hands up, and that's happened on a couple of occasions. I saw Didak actually smother one 5 metres off the ball as well, standing up and pointing his hands in the air. Just sensational. He loves that. He wants them to play man on man. You know, no free players for the Saints, because they love that. And attacking and attacking their tackling. Just continue to attack them with the ball. When they've got it, put them down, hurt them.
Adam White.
Jared, it's going to be one of those days, I think, with Nick Rewald, where everyone gets a little edgy on the bench, including the medical staff. I mentioned before that probably 2 doctors and a physio had a chat to Rewald when he came from the field. He did a little bit of a walk through on the bench with the physio. The doctor looked at his leg. The doctor wanted to go back again, and Nick Rewott said, "Go away, I'm okay. Let me get back out there." So I'm just going to keep a real interest on how he goes in this second term.
Collingwood by 18 points, kicking to the punt road end with the second term underway. Jolly, lovely tap over his head to Swan inside the 50. Bouncing ball, tried to be trapped on the foot of Davis. Gilbert dispossessed. Brown coming through, kicks to full forward. Shaw! Rising high over Schneider, and the sneak attack of Heath Shaw might come up with a second goal. Fair old one-on-one grab two.
He just follow him down. He just follows Schneider down to the defence where Schneider picks up easy kicks and runs out. Shaw won't let him go.
He'd only kicked one goal for the year in 14 games heading in this afternoon. He's got a goal in the opening term. Heath Shaw, the chance to double up. It's as simple a shot as a defender could ask for, and there's no mistake. Heath Shaw builds the Collingwood lead. 5-4-34. St Kilda 1-4-10.
Again, they get the ball inside 50. More than the opposition. They continue to belt them in that area. But Lee Brown, don't underestimate him. He's a bits and pieces player, but today he's full on, and he's been outstanding in every way, shape and form. Held his feet, picked the ball up one hand, and got away a very, very good kick to the top of the square. Guess who was there? Heath Shaw, athletic, jumped over Schneider. Well, who couldn't jump over Schneider? Quite frankly, he's 2'6". But he jumped over the top. He took a ripper mark, but Lee Brown, outstanding.
Hey, no short jokes.
There's a song about them, isn't there?
Yeah. I've smashed that record. Bounce back in the middle. All Collingwood. Gardner over Jolly this time. Boy, Jolly crunched into Ray. Ball comes to Shaw again. He's kicked straight onto the chest of Fisher at half-back for the Saints. They've got to work themselves out. Comes out to Hayes. Has had a quietish start to the day, Lenny. Members wing.
Just 4 positions, true.
Kick to half forward, Revolt in front and takes the mark on Prestigiacomo a long way from goal. Hand pass to the small man, Schneider, who centres the ball into the corridor. Beautifully delivered. Geary marks. He goes further across the half forward line to Gilbert, who goes long to the goal square. Goddard the only chance, and he's out marked by Jolly, who gets back in the last line of defence. It's 34-10, and the Saints really have the task in front of them.
Jolly just about trapped on the goal line with play on the call. He hand passes into the pocket for O'Brien. He hoofs it outside the defensive area, and Goldsack takes the mark against the boundary. They go quickly. Oh, and it's wide open. Davis will mark. Dawes is on his own inside the 50. Davis's kick is a howler. Out into the pocket and bounces out of play. That's a golden chance evaporating.
I might say fantastic play by Zach Dawson, because he left his man to come up and go onto Davis, and he just put enough pressure on him to do that. That is just playing for your team, not playing for just your own position.
Jolly in the forward pocket wins the tap. Montagna, though, the footy. Hand pass to Graham. Kick almost smothered in there. It just slews out, and Daisy Thomas is onto it. He gives some ground to O'Brien, who breaks through, as is his wont. Closes to 70, kicks to full forward. They all leap. Who's down? Wellingham spins around, snaps a goal, misses. Too severe on the hook. Collingwood by 25 points. 4 minutes into the second term.
Gee, in this game you can just see method in what Collingwood was doing. With St Kilda's got the footy, it's almost panic. It's just so hot. They're trying to get rid of it because of the terrific pressure by the Collingwood outfit.
Schneider kicks in short, and Geary takes the mark, still in the back pocket. Lockyer enthusiastically standing in the mark. Short pass by Geary to Hayes. Did that go 15? Went about 8. Mark paid to Lenny Hayes, who kicks the ball backwards, and they're skirting around behind the defence here, the Saints. Through Schneider it goes. Fisher finds Dawson. Zach Dawson in game 50 today. Off the left boot. Out wide to Montagna. He wants to get it back somewhere towards the corridor. He runs and kicks, and Geary is there. Crunched by Johnson of Collingwood. Johnson works it towards the boundary line. He came from a defensive position, won the contest, and got the ball dead. Terrific.
Steve Pearce, York Park.
Bit of a scrappy start to the second quarter, but Brisbane have reduced the deficit to 33 points. They're 2 goals straight to Hawthorn, 7-3-45, played 3 minutes.
Centre line on the southern side. Goddard from the stoppage to Jones to Montagna. Did a lot, slipped out of trouble, sends it up to half forward. Kosicki wrestles with Reid. Neither laid a glove on it. Ball is away and out of play. 5-5 to 1-4. And a terrific crowd in the MCG. They watch the throw in. Jolly to the front. Swan is onto it. Hand pass to Tuvey under pressure. Thomas tried to burrow underneath. Released the footy to Johnson. Got dragged down with it. Milne tidied up. Couldn't break 2 tackles though. And will need a bounce. 60 out from the Saints goal. Comes in yellow this afternoon. Vozzo, McBurney and Chamberlain. Thumped into the turf. Goddard, Patterson flies third man up, wins it to the side. Oh, Davis just about threw that behind his back to Tuvey. He mishandled the footy. Schneider's tackling. McQualter hand pass to Milne. Flying snap at goal. Kosicki and Reid wrestling. Ball bounces beyond them and through for a behind. 1-5-11 to 5-5-35. Collingwood leading.
Hubbub around the ground. Collingwood fans mostly enjoying this as Ben Johnson kicks to himself and then kicks outside 50, and Shaw playing a whale of a game. Marks overhead, off the ball. His kick is disappointing. Chopped off by Gwilt for the Saints, just behind the wing. He gets it back into the corridor to Goddard. Goddard near the circles. Further across the ground he goes, and he gets some support from Fisher coming up from defence. Short pass. He missed Hayes. It's taken here by Thomas. The hand pass to Davis. This time Davis. The pass to Lee Brown. And he marks on the 50. Wide open forward line. He's got Dawes going past. Brown turns back into the corridor. Goes off the left and rams the goal. Lee Brown. I don't think they were too sad when he left Fremantle and North Melbourne. He's come to Collingwood. He's kicked 2. And the Pies are 6-5 to 1-5.
Well, I think that little bit of passage sums it up for both sides. St Kilda does the switch. The ball goes out wide to Fisher. He's such a good user of the ball. But it's just trying to find the easiest safety opportunity. He tries to do a dinky little kick into to the centre of the ground to his teammate there in Hayes. The ball is spilt. It just goes over. And all of a sudden it's the break. And the amount of space in both sides, you just couldn't believe because of the rebound. It goes up and all you want is just a one-on-one. And let me tell you, Lee Brown is having one heck of a day. Able to get the footy up there. He had about 4 options he looked for to try and give it off in the finish. He drops it on the left foot and kicks it from outside 50.
They've kicked 6 in a row, the Pies, after Kosicki booted the first of the game. There's a free kick in the middle, taken by Patterson. Hand pass to Montagna. Over now to Geary. Beyond halfway to Stephen. Back now to Dempster. Inside the 50. Kosicki at the back. It didn't reach him. Coming through McQualter. Was he taken without it? Play on as the call. Patterson piling in. Ball held to a stop. Umpire circles. It's squeezed out for just a moment. Hasn't sufficiently cleared the congestion. Come on, bounce it, for goodness sake. And now we will 40 away from the St Kilda goal. Kosicki and Reid to the side of it. The bounce actually goes out near them. Pendlebury, though, knocked it down to Jolly, so a reverse of roles there. Off to Johnson, kicks out the half-back. Lockyer spilled the mark. No damage done because Blair is onto it. Changed his mind on the kick. Had a bounce. Spreads it sideways to the southern wing. McCaffer mark. Gave it to Wellingham. Kicks now for Thomas. Promising build-up. Thomas for Dawes. It bounces short of him. Dawes handles it cleanly. Can't keep it in the field of play, though, as he looked to thread the hand pass on.
Chris Dawes will think they don't like me. He's doing everything he's got clear and they just cannot find him. They just can't turn the footy over.
Right half forward on the throw-in for the Pies. Jolly down to the front for Pendlebury. Now to Thomas. Quickly to his boot. Nobody home. He's kicked it straight to Fisher.
41 to 11. 5-goal lead to the Pies. Montagna, short pass, close to the boundary line. Geary under pressure, couldn't take the mark. And Didak was right on his hammer. And the ball out of play, throw in.
It's a poor effort to mark, though. He just sort of just put it a hands out. He really hit him in the chest and bounced out.
Another chance here for the Pies. Brown in ruck. Patterson jumps all over the top of him. Off the ground by Swan. It's only 25 metres from goal. Down goes Ray for the Saints. They fight hard at ground level. Will the ball come free? No, according to umpire Ray Chamberlain. And it will be a ball up.
Oh, they got an appetite for the contest, Collingwood, at this stage. Can't you see that?
A lot of players around this bounce. Up she goes. Backhanded by Patterson. Comes down to Montagna. A little kick goes nowhere along the ground. Still in a contest, and vertical black and white everywhere. And they lock it in again. And we'll have a ball up. Team leading at half-time has won 10 of the past 11 games between these two teams. So might just want to get on the pies now.
It's in there, forward line again at the bounce. A lot of players contesting the ruck work. Montagna took it, happy to see it out of bounds. Steve Pearce, Launceston.
Jared, 9 minutes gone in the second quarter, and it's still all Hawthorn, although Brisbane have kicked 3 of the last 4. Hawthorn 7-3-45, Brisbane 3 goals State 18, Hawks by 27.
Thrown back in, 50 out from the Collingwood goal. Hard to really win the clearance here. Jones tried, failed. Wellingham, the same fate. Adam White.
Just not sure what the problem is with Jason Blake. He hasn't come back onto the field since quarter time. He's got the tracksuit top on. He's stalking the boundary, but just don't know what the issue is.
Now 60 out from the Collingwood goal as we lurch from bounce to bounce. Free kick off the play, going St Kilda's way.
The tagger gets the free.
Yeah, Jones comes up with it and gives a chance to clear some messy congestion. He's going to kick it backwards to Gwilt.
They don't know where to go. They have got no movement. They just haven't got a clue what to do. Haven't been in the situation for some time.
Yeah, very few blokes really want the footy at the moment, St Kilda.
Gwilt has to come out the opposite back pocket. Gilbert against McCaffrey. Oh, that's a really good contested mark for Gilbert, who was going to be terribly dangerous if it had been jarred from his grasp. He plays on with a hand pass to Gwilt. Has to go the 10-metre kick, which is smothered. Ray, hand pass back to Gwilt. Better to Geary. Now to Fisher. They all come at him. They're too close to each other, the Saints. Geary and Hayes, and he's just about coughed it up. Patterson on the wing tries to retain possession. Geary does, but for how long? Reid has it for the Pies. Not a lot of support. Wilt and Thomas see it out of play.
Oh, it sums it up.
The Pies.
Yeah, summed it up.
Yeah, it's fantastic. They just kept them there. They wouldn't let them out of there. Pushed it to the boundary. Happy to start again.
41-11. Collingwood in front. Patterson wins the hit out. It comes to Goddard, who throws boot the ball, kicks over the wing. Awkward for Schneider. Bounces off his shins. Lost control of the ball. Now it spills here for Tuvey. Little one to Didak. And worked it well. Didak has it again. Back edge of the centre square. Little bounce going nowhere. And he finds a man out in the open. Beautiful kick. Reid takes the mark. Out on centre wing, Daisy Thomas. Well, 80,000 people said, out here, there's Daisy. He takes the mark, kicks up towards half forward. A half volley taken by Blair. Told to get on with it by the umpire. Mark not paid, which was the correct decision. Awful hand pass by Blair looking for Pendlebury. They've turned it over. The Saints have it. And now Gwilt went through and the ball was jolted out of his arms. Is he going to be pinged for holding it? Collingwood fans want something out of it. The umpire's coming in and is going to ball it up. Umpire Steve McBurney. Collingwood 6-5, St Kilda 1-5, 13 and a half minutes gone, second quarter.
St Kilda trying to handball their way through this, but the pressure from Collingwood just won't allow them.
Patterson's the third man up for St Kilda. Cleanly down to Goddard. Kicks to the wing. It's almost cut off by O'Brien. He didn't gather though, and Hayes comes through for the Saints. Hand pass to Schneider. Left foot inside the forward line. Reid has it well scouted though for the Pies. He'll stay the southern side and deliver to Thomas. Thomas wedges it carefully over the top to Beams. In he links it up with Johnson. Flat ball out to the southern wing. Swan pushes Gilbert away. Works it up to half forward. Lock your marks. Looks to full forward. On the lead is Jolly. He won't mark. Dawson out positions him.
And he goes to Geary. And the ball outside the 50. And McWalter goes for the short pass. Gilbert zigzagging the ball up the ground they are. Goddard has it. Kicks to centre half forward. Thomas takes it. He's bowled over without the ball and hasn't got up in a hurry either. Graham gets it for the Saints. Dishes out a hand pass to Schneider. On the run, Geary. 30 out from goal and he kicks it on the run. Well, they haven't kicked a goal since, the second minute of the game. St Kilda now 2-5, Collingwood 6-5.
Well, it's the 14-minute mark of the second quarter. Their first goal was about the 1-minute mark of the first quarter. Hell of a long time, 34 minutes in between goals, and they haven't looked like it. It took an enormous captain's effort in the middle of the ground to knock Daisy Thomas off his pedestal there, and that was Lenny Hayes. Put some physical pressure on, one in the middle. They've had so many turnovers. Their short handball's been atrocious. All of a sudden, one of those real good hits in the middle of the ground. Daisy hits the deck. All of a sudden goes forward, and Geary kicks a goal. 14-minute mark of the second quarter. They kicked their first goal for 34 minutes. Can't believe it.
Adam White.
Jared Thomas has come to the bench just to get his breath back. Not a well boy at the moment. Incidentally, on the crowd, 80,000 is the least it would be. It's close to 85, I reckon, maybe even more.
Pies by 24. Saints out of the middle, though. Ray to Hayes. Kicks it up forward. Taken by Gardner. Took a while to get rid of it. Sets it up to full forward, though. Terrific grab taken by Reid in defence. Read it well, lunged after it and plays on to Goldsack. Delivers it out to Swan. Magpies go the southern side. Jolly's making space. He kicks down the line for Brown and Blake, who's back onto the ground. Blake for the Saints with a hand pass to Quilt. He didn't take it, left it on the deck. Kicked off the ground by Dawes up near Didak. Downed and loses it. Blake to Quilt in defence. Kicks it out to McQualter. Looks up the southern wing. Not a lot for him. As is their wont, they'll come backward and sideways and switch. Dempster to Fisher. Gilbert, here's the outlet kick at the defensive 50 on the members' side. He's called to play on and does. Couple of bounces. Cuts back inboard. That's where the runners are. Ray Mark slips it off to Fisher. Sends them into the forward line. Needs Schneider. Revolt back with a flight. Didn't pull it in. Schneider fights on. Can't release the hand pass. It's held to a standstill. 25 out from the Saints' goal. They trail by 24.
Well, little Schneider was in there trying to take a mark against his captain, Revolt. He's running back with the same direction as the ball. Close to goal here for the Saints. Might get two in a row. Here's the bounce. Knocked one by Jolly. Wellingham gets away a little hand pass to Pendlebury. Down the line he goes. And the mark taken by McCaffer. Seems to play in all the big games. A couple of Anzac Day games. Another 80,000 crowd here. He goes back and finds Reid. Ben Reid off the left. He's found some space for Pendlebury just outside defensive 50. Pendle's off the left. Contest. And Beams charge at it. And Fisher, just as well for Sam Fisher for the Saints. He has been dominant. You're racking up those Dream Team points, Stan. With Fisher.
Yeah, trying to make up for last night.
16 possessions for Fisher.
From the throw-in, Jolly got rid of Gardner fairly. Hand passes to Pendlebury and on to Shaw. Kicks to half forward for the Pies. Didn't find a target. Gilbert is unattended. Off half back, unconvincing kick. McQualter took it on the bounce, gave it back to Gilbert. He's under pressure. Didak makes a really good contest. Gilbert still goes, can't handle the footy. Playing for the boundary, got caught with it, would deserve to lose it in the circumstance. It's held against the boundary. The Pies can't pull it clear. It's out of play. Steve Pearce, York Park.
17 minutes gone in the second quarter, Jared, and it's Hawthorn by 23 points. They're 7-5-47. Brisbane 4 goals straight, 24.
Collingwood by 24 at the throw-in. Ball, hand pass to McCaffer. Montagna dragged him down, holding the ball. So the Saints just trying to build on the goal that they've scored. Montagna up in the revolt direction. Presty works him underneath it. Takes the mark. Hand pass to Reid. Over the top to O'Brien. Reaches half-back. Dawes is on the long lead up at the wing. Quilt makes the spoil and gathers in the field of play. Sideways with a kick and it's effective. Gardner defensive side of the middle.
Just feel a little swing coming on here, Gerard. Just a little swing towards the Saints.
Gardner backward with the kick. Jones. Oh, he dropped it. Didak sweating on him. Didak has it. He shoots a goal. This it hurts. To behind. Didn't have the radar. Didak made the steal.
He had two inside of him. He should have given it off to.
He had Davis waiting for it, didn't he? 25 points. The Magpies lead.
Well, revolt front position for a ball that was up in the air, landing on his head, and Fancy Presti out, marking him from behind. Here's Fisher again for the Saints, clearing from defence. Patterson camped underneath it, the ex-Tiger. He's buffeted in the marking contest. No mark. Now a ground level contest. Now the Collingwood fans want him holding the ball, and it's a stoppage, a ball up. Great Southern stand side. Grey and overcast. Perfect for football. Kazitsky over the top wins the head out. Ball doesn't emerge. And the umpire calls for it and will throw it into the turf again. The Pies 6-6-42. The Saints 2-5-17. And we're 20 and a half minutes into the second quarter.
Jolly and Kazitsky with Patterson there as well for the Saints. He knocked it out boundary side, but it fell in all those who were waiting for it, and no clearances forthcoming. 2-1 in the term. The Magpies' way. Spiked forward by Jolly, back by Ray. Shaw is onto it. Montagna onto him. Hand pass the ball. Took too long. Ray holding the ball is the verdict. Ray with a hand pass to Goddard. He was hot. Dispossessed by McCaffrey. They're after it again. Goddard and McCaffrey. It's still to be won, and it's hard to work out. It spills the side of the pack. Davis comes through with 1 mitt. Kicks inside the 50. Dawes has been held. No free kick. Dawes trying to push away. Works the hand pass out the beams. He kicks to full forward. It floats. They fly. McCaffrey hands to it. He picks up the crumb and rolls the goal. Brent McCaffrey, the big game specialist. He kicks the Magpies 7-6-48. St Kilda 2-5-17. Time on to the second term.
Well, we've just seen Collingwood's response to St Kilda throwing down the gauntlet. For the last 7 minutes, it's just been St Kilda trying to get the momentum, trying to get some real back in. And just there, I agree with Mark's call. It just sensed that they were just getting a taste for it, getting their way back in. But Collingwood, like a good side, have really responded, and the pressure that was on there, just absolutely sensational. The footy in, finally the spillage there, and you're right, McCaffrey was really given the role early of trying to shut down Fisher. Hasn't been successful in that really, but boy, that's one for his team.
Bounce in the middle. Jolly wins down to Swan for the Pies. Jolly punches the ball out towards the wing, giving chase Thomas. He leads the race and gathers the footy. A bounce. Kick off the left, close to the boundary line, inside the 50. Dawes swamped by 2 or 3 defenders, and the ball goes out of play. Collingwood back into attack again. Closing in on half-time, they lead 48-17. And right in front of Whitey, blood rule here.
Gee, it's a good blood rule too. Sean Dempster looks like he's got 2 litres of red paint just splashed on his face. He looks okay apart from the blood.
Be a little nick on the top of his head. That'll all be.
So on goes Peake. Jolly wins the head out. Rowed by Swan. That's perfect. But Swan's kick is beautifully smothered by Stephen. How did he get there? And the ball back out of play.
Gee, Montagna was side by side with Swan. When Son puts the afterburn on, and he doesn't have a high lead lift, but boy, he just scooted away from him.
Another throw in, a bit closer to goal. Jolly knocks it away from goal. Rowed by Davis. Davis hooks towards the goal square. It's high, it won't quite make it. And in the last line, that man Fisher again, Sam Fisher, killing them back there.
Jolly is threatening with his ruck work. Kick into the back pocket for Graham, onto Montagna, now to Hayes. They've worked it up well to half-back. Peake takes it, goes for some pace, kicks them long around the wing. Needs Milne, he runs past the footy, and the ball is away and out of play.
Jared, how many touches for Milne?
Naught.
Milne's had 2 touches.
Yeah, and the man on him, Johnson, is absolutely creating havoc with run off him.
Collingwood by 31, thrown in. Revolt, the third man up this time. Almost stolen by Swan. He did manage to knock it on. Goddard dispossessed. Blair for Collingwood. To Thomas. To Brown. To Pendlebury. To Beams. He's past halfway. Beams backs himself. His kick is poor though.
Yeah, just like
Fisher just drifts into mark again. Out to the back corner of the centre square for Gwilt. He'll cross. He's looking for Peake. It sits in the air for a while. Peake, though, is able to take the mark. The runners are on the southern wing. Graham and Gilbert. He goes over the top of Graham. Gilbert's got a shepherd. Did enough. Graham works it up to Revolt on the lead. Can't mark. Shaw trying to spin out of trouble. Hand pass to Johnson. Hand pass to side bottom. The Magpies protect the ball well into the grasp of Wellingham.
He looks sore, Nick Rewalt.
Hands on hips. He's puffing hard. Second game back after that very bad hamstring injury.
Well, he's not getting much of a chop out by his other forwards, I'll tell you that much.
Collingwood down the boundary line. Great Southern stand side. And Tarkin Lockyer has it. Centre wing. 48-17. Collingwood killing the Saints. Kick by Lockyer. Short of the 50. Fisher again with a punch away.
Free kick.
It's going to be a St Kilda free kick. Man in front, Zach Dawson, interfered with. Kicks across the ground. Just need another one before half-time, St Kilda. Montagna has it at fullback. Up to Peake, still deep inside 50. To Goddard, back to Montagna. They've found some space for Joey Montagna. Her bounces, kicks to centre wing, and Patterson gets out in the clear and takes the mark. Open forward line, but the Collingwood defence getting back. Good run by Jones. He takes the mark. Down short of half forward. Clint Jones, the ex-West Australian. Revolt in the forward pocket, scatters a few pigeons with a lead. Hand pass goes to Montagna. He kicks to Revolt, who won't get there. Man in front, Shaw. What a game he's played. The mark to his Shaw.
They might try to counter-attack here, Collingwood. Kick across the full-back line to Swan. They take pause for a moment. Swan sideways to side bottom and then
just
back
wanted
to
it back.
Swan. And he works the kick up now to Pendlebury. This is all still inside the defensive 50. Now with 2 minutes to play in the half, Collingwood might be sitting on what they have. Pendlebury kicks it backward to Swan. Another mark and another kick coming up.
Dream team bliss.
Cross full back for Ben Johnson.
Shouldn't be counted.
Leads up, longer kick, risky. Wellingham against Montagna. Oh, Wellingham used the body superbly. Got rid of Montagna. Marked and broke away. 3 bounces, Wellingham. Sends them deep forward. Too wide of Dawes.
Dawes again.
Fair dinkum, he should take
I tell you what, I just want to talk about
they're kicking it in.
I want to talk about Dale Thomas. He ran 20 metres to get in front of Montagna and stop Montagna chasing his teammate from getting it. That is commitment beyond.
10 possessions of support for Daisy Thomas.
Throw in the forward pocket for the Pies. Comes to the youngster Blair, back into the pack, now to Swan, standing start, shot for goal from 40, and it floats left for a behind. Dane Swan's first score for the day, 7-7, 2 goals 5. 10 goals could still win the game. Whitey.
Lee Montagna after that incident actually came to the bench and looks absolutely exhausted. Lots of St Kilda players do. A lot of them look really flat coming to the bench and just generally tired.
Yeah, that's what you get for chasing all day.
Kick in was marked by Gilbert, had nothing effective to go to, sits it up outside the defensive 50, and guess who? Fisher in to take the mark.
I'd be in trouble with this bloke. I'm in trouble already, but
Possession number 20.
He used it across the face of goal to Goddard, and now Dawson will run from the back pocket. Oh, drag the kick out to Schneider. Takes it on the first bounce. Hand pass back to Dawson. You want to see him get rid of it. Hand pass to Graham. Works around Schneider. Nearly the dead end. Got caught. Hand pass for the boundary. Got it there.
Schneider.
Wretchedly unconvincing.
Why would you call for it in that position, running around?
when you haven't had a kick.
Yeah, well, greedy.
Half forward on the throw in. There's a whistle. It is a free kick to go in the way of Gardner in the ruck. Hand pass to Graham. Sets it up around the wing for Kosicki. Flicks his hand pass on to Stephen from the wing. Here's kicks for Goddard. Right in the corridor now. Hand pass to Schneider. He goes for Revolt on the lead and he takes the mark, the skipper.
It's another hamstring tester.
He's going to have a belated shot for goal with the siren pending. He's at left half forward and will deliver from the digits painted on the 2. The mark margin to be determined at half-time. Nick Revolt from 52 lays into it, kicks it supremely. And that is a spirit lifter in every way for St Kilda. They do, though, trail by 26 points at half-time. Collingwood are having dominated the first hour. 7-7-49 to St Kilda 3-5-23. The goal kickers for the Pies, Brown and Shaw 2 each. Ball, McCaffer and Dawes the singles. For St Kilda, it's Revolt, Geary and Kazitsky. Collingwood by 26 points at York Park. Steve Pearce.
Jared, we've still got about 90 seconds or so before half-time here. We've played 29 minutes in the second term, and Hawthorn well in control. They lead by 36 points, 9 goals, 660 to Brisbane's 4 straight, 24.
This is all unfolding on Grandstand AFL on ABC Local Radio, Radio Australia and Digital Radio. We've got a current affairs election special coming up after Mark McClure and Stan Elves.
Well, an outstanding game of football, and the Saints actually started very, very well in the first quarter. Kaczynski kicked his first goal, probably 1 minute in. They used the full corridor from back to the front to the forward line, and Cozzy took a mark in the goal square and kicked it through. Well, that was it from then. And then the Pies, one-on-one all over the ground. They tackle well. They forced the Saints to make mistakes in all over the joint. The next 4 goals came their way. Ball, Dawes, Brown and Heath Shaw. And their defence of Harry O'Brien, Tooby, Reid, Presty, Shaw and Johnson was just outstanding. They just kept pushing it back in. They wouldn't let the Saints get near them. Their forward pressure, 9 tackles in the first quarter inside 50 to the Pies against the Saints, and the Saints had 1. Huge difference. And there's the scoreboard for you. They got quarter time. Swan had 9 and Ball had 8 for the quarter. They were just outstanding in every way, shape and form, and the Saints were at 6s and 7s, had no idea what to do. The second quarter started exactly the same. Heath Shaw takes a mark over Schneider in the goal square from Lee Brown. Just a really basic little kick, nearly fell over, hurled his feet, strong in the tackle, and all of a sudden it's in the goal square, and there he was. Heath Shaw took a mark. Lee Brown gets another one. As Stan said, how dare he try on the left foot, but he did, and it went through the middle of the goals again. The Pies want it badly, you can tell. They want to stamp their authority on the competition, and they certainly are today. They're showing that. The Saints seem lost. They actually are. You know, they can't break free. Their handball's too short. They're not actually free in what they're doing. And the 14-minute mark, all of a sudden we see Geary come back from Lenny Hayes. A good hit on Daisy Thomas in the middle of the ground, assert some authority on the game, and Geary gets one back. And they're trying, and you can see a little switch in the game. But no, it was snuffed out. Snuffed out pretty quickly. The 22nd minute mark when Brett McCaffer, a good goal, a good crummer, been outstanding. He loves the big days, and he was terrific again and got another one. You know, how can you have a forward line of Milne with 2 possessions, Rewalt 4 and Cozzy 2? That is impossible to win a game if you're going to do that. The Pies' work rate is fantastic. They run hard to help their teammates. They're terrific, they're outstanding. And then, just on the siren, Nick takes a mark. Nick Rewalt goes back, kicks it from 50. A real captain's goal. Let's hope, if you're a Saints supporter, let's hope that gives them a chance in the second half.
Well, if you want to sum that up, it means Collingwood's winning everywhere. They are. If you want to look at the key performance indicators, just some of them. Attack on the ball, Collingwood. Numbers of the contest, Collingwood. System, understanding, Collingwood. Pressure, Collingwood. Unrewarded running for your teammates. Illustrated when Thomas ran past chasing Montagna just so Willingham could get a better kick. Thank God St Kilda would be saying for Fisher. Thank God for Fisher down the back, and if there's one slight ray of hope, it was skipper Rewalt able to take that mark and keep them within striking distance.
It's the Pies by 26. Half-time at York Park. Steve Pearce.
I can echo everything Stan just said, Jared, except where Collingwood was, just insert Hawthorn, because Hawthorn were outstanding in the first half. They just had a little lull where Brisbane came back into it, but outstanding throughout, really, Hawthorn. They have a pretty commanding lead at half-time. It's 36 points, 9 goals, 660 to Brisbane's 4 straight, 24. Hawthorn's goal kickers, 3 for Lewis, 2 for Roughhead, Brown, Osborne, Ellis and Young. For Brisbane, 2 for John O'Brien, Buchanan and Power. So 36 points is Hawthorn's lead at half-time.
More on Grandstand AFL from the MCG shortly, but right now, a current affairs election special.
Hello, welcome to a special election edition of PM. I'm Shane McLeod. It's day one of the 2010 election campaign and the two first-time leaders have set the terms of their campaigns. Voters will go to the polls on August the 21st. In Canberra, the Prime Minister Julia Gillard said she wanted a mandate for her government and listed the issues she wants the electorate to focus on.
Throughout my adult life, I've learned to face the future with confidence. I believe our nation, too, can face the future with confidence. I believe, absolutely, I believe to my core that the best days of this nation are in front of it, not behind it. And there's no challenge too big, no challenge too tough, that we can't conquer it if we work together. And so, in this, the forthcoming election campaign, I'll be asking the Australian people for their trust. I will be asking Australians for their trust so that we can move forward together. And moving forward means moving forward with plans to build a sustainable Australia, not a big Australia. Moving forward means making record investments in solar power and other renewable energies to help us combat climate change and protect our quality of life. Moving forward means moving forward with budget surpluses and a stronger economy that can offer Australians the opportunity to get a job, keep a job, learn new skills, get a better job and start their own business. A stronger economy that offers Australian families security, opportunity and fairness at work. A stronger economy that builds on what we've achieved by working together, employers and employees alike, in the face of the global financial crisis and global economic uncertainty. And of course, that uncertainty is not behind us yet, and economic challenges are still very much with us, and hard-working Australian families who are doing it tough can attest to that. Moving forward, of course, means bringing the budget to surplus by 2013, 3 years ahead of schedule. A surplus that I will protect in this election campaign by not going on an election spend-a-thon, by making sure that any promise we make to spend money is offset by a promise to save money, by making sure that the budget bottom line doesn't change by 1 cent during the election campaign. Moving forward also means moving forward with stronger protection of our borders and a strong plan, a real plan that takes away from people smugglers the product that they sell.
The Prime Minister Julia Gillard. In Brisbane, the opposition leader Tony Abbott said the government had been a failure and changing leaders made no difference.
This election is about giving a great people a better government. We are a great country, but we've been let down by our government, at least for the last 3 years. Australia will be at its best when all of our people are empowered to be at their best. But the only way to change for the better is to change the government. I want to repeat that. The only way to change for the better is to change the government. Only a coalition government can end the spin and incompetence which marked the Rudd-Gillard government and which has just got worse over the 3 weeks since the faceless men of the Labor Party executed an elected Prime Minister. 3 weeks ago, the government had lost its way, and since then, it's just got worse. Why should people trust Labor's 2010 promises when you couldn't trust their 2007 promises? Why should people trust a new Prime Minister who said she'd fix the messes that her own government had created, who failed to do so and has now rushed to the polls before she's established her credentials to govern? Why should people trust Julia Gillard when even Kevin Rudd couldn't? Why should people trust a government that can't say who would be the Foreign Minister, who would be the Defence Minister and who would be the Finance Minister if the government is re-elected? And why should people trust a Prime Minister who can't guarantee that she would serve a full term because she can't be sure that the factions would let her? There is a better way. the Coalition will stand up for re-election. A coalition government will respect the taxpayer's dollar. We know that households and businesses have had to tighten their belts, and we'll make government tighten its belt too. A government which is borrowing $100 million every single day is taking away $100 million that would otherwise be available to small business, and that's hurting every family's budget. We'll respect people's judgment. The government trusts parents enough to help them buy school uniforms, but not enough to let them decide the classrooms, the canteens and the halls that their schools need. So we'll give local communities a real say over the schools and hospitals that they so rely on.
The opposition leader Tony Abbott, the ABC's election analyst Anthony Green, says on paper the government starts the campaign well ahead.
The government has 83 seats in the old parliament, the coalition 64, and there's 3 independents, and 65 and 3 independents. The redistribution has had major effects, and on paper Labor now has a notional 88 seats, the coalition 59 and 3 independents. Labor can lose up to 12 seats, which is a swing of 1.4%, and beyond that it loses its majority. A uniform swing of 2.3% would deliver the coalition 17 seats and majority government. It's complicated by the fact there's an even number of seats in Parliament. That's assuming they get to 76 and form majority, they could form government, a seat or 2 below that. But the problem for Labor is, of the 12 most marginal seats it's defending, 5 of them are notionally held by the Liberal Party, and 3 of them have sitting Liberal MPs, and 3 other seats have no sitting Labor MP. So of Labor's 12 marginal seats, there's only 4 with a sitting Labor MP, and that'll sort of interfere a little bit with their marginal seat campaigning.
People are talking a lot about Queensland today. Is that the key battleground?
There's 10 seats under 5% in Queensland. So if there's a substantial swing, the Labor Party could lose lots of seats. Labor has traditionally done badly in Queensland. They did well last time in 2007, only the 3rd time since they war they got the majority of the 2-party preferred vote. There's only once in the Second World War that Queensland's done better than the national vote. So it's quite remarkable how badly Labor does in Queensland. They no longer have a Queenslander as leader. There may be a swing against Labor, and that would put at risk a range of seats.
What about the Senate? 2004 is the last election that these senators will be re-elected from. 2004 was a pretty bad year for Labor, wasn't it?
And it was a very good year for the coalition. Above all else, the coalition won 21 of the 40 vacancies and 19 of the 36 state senators. Those 36 state senators are up for election, and there is almost no way, barring a Liberal landslide, that they're going to get 19 senators up again. So the coalition is going to go backwards in the Senate, barring a landslide. If that occurs, what happens is the Greens will shift into the balance of power. Even if the Greens do no better than to re-elect their 2 senators, they will get the balance of power for this shift that's occurring in overturning the 2004 Senate positions and getting new senators elected. Though, of course, none of those senators will take their seats until the middle of July next year, and the government will spend the next 10 months with the existing Senate.
Back to the reps. New South Wales, there's also been a redistribution. People are looking at Western Sydney. Are those seats in play? Are they going to be a key factor?
Well, there aren't many of them in terms of marginal seats. There's the seat of Macarthur and Macquarie, the only 2 marginal seats in Western Sydney. Lindsay on paper is much safer, and there's a lot of talk of it, but still, I mean, they're really the only 3 seats in play. If Labor's doing badly, and you've got areas on the Central Coast, there's 2 seats under 4% on the Central Coast for Labor, and City Hughes in the southern suburbs. All of these come into play. Everyone just says the western suburbs and assumes it's Lindsay, but there are some other seats in play. But there'd have to be a substantial swing for those to all fall to the Liberal Party. The election will essentially be decided north of the Murray. There just aren't many marginal seats in the rest of the country. Of Victoria's 37 seats, there's only 5 seats in play, which can seriously change party. In South Australia, the battle lines have sort of fought to a draw at this stage. It's like trench warfare, and the seats are safely on one side or the other and are unlikely to change, unless Julia Gillard can really sort of work on the idea of being an old Adelaide girl, and therefore should they support her. Western Australia, Labor could lose a seat in Western Australia. There aren't really enough Labor seats that will fall in Western Australia to affect the result. Tasmania, as always, we talk about Bass and Braddon. They'll be the 2 perennial marginals, and then you have the 1 other seat in the Northern Territory, which is marginal, which is Solomon, based on Darwin.
That's the ABC's election analyst Anthony Green. This has been a special edition of PM. I'm Shane McLeod. We'll have a full wrap of the day's events in another special program at 5 past 5 Eastern Time on ABC Radio.
Steve Pearce with you on Grandstand AFL. Briefly, in other news this afternoon, the embattled head of the Victorian Bushfire Reconstruction and Recovery Authority, Christine Nixon, is stepping down from her position as chairwoman. She made the announcement at a community gathering in the Yarra Valley, northeast of Melbourne this afternoon. Victoria's Premier John Brumby has accepted her resignation. Miss Nixon will continue to play a role in the organisation as a voluntary reconstruction and recovery advisor to the Victorian Government. You're listening to Grandstand AFL.
Change your life. Change the planet. Grow organic. Organicgardener.com.au. The team at ABC's Organic Gardener are thrilled to announce the launch of the magazine's new website. In addition to the print magazine, the website will keep you up to date with organic gardening, lifestyle and living. On the new website, you'll find blogs, selected articles from previous issues and practical gardening tips from the Gardening Australia TV show. Visit organicgardener.com.au.
Grandstand AFL.
Brown coming through, kicks to full forward, Shaw! Rising high over Schneider. It's as simple as short as a defender could ask for, and there's no mistake.
This time, David, the pass to Lee Brown, and he marks on the 50. Wide open forward line. Brown turns back into the corridor, goes off the left, and rams the goal. Lee Brown to Schneider. On the run, Geary. 30 out from goal, and he kicks it.
He kicks to full forward. It floats safe line. Macappa hands to it. He picks up the crumb and rolls the goal. Brent Macappa, the big game specialist. Nick Reevell from 52 lays into it, hits it supremely, and that is a spirit lifter in every way for the skill.
AFL on ABC Local Radio.
The half-time interval at two venues this afternoon. Collingwood and St Kilda at the MCG. The Pies by 26 points. 7 goals, 7-49 over the Saints, 3-5-23. At York Park in Launceston, it's Hawthorn by 36 points over the Brisbane Lions, 9-6-60 to 4 straight 24. A full sports update later in the afternoon. You will have heard by now, I'm sure, that Australia wrapped up the first test at Lords against Pakistan, with Marcus North taking 6 wickets. So he's on the honour board at Lords, an unlikely match spinner. And the British Open, the details, a wind-swept second round, which is still largely incomplete, and any number of chances, not to mention still out on the course, but very much in contention. So Steve Pearce will bring you up to speed with all of that on a day that is obviously a bit changed, because there are events far more important than the sport taking place. But the Pies by 26 points over the Saints. The stats with Jared Cameron.
At half-time, St Kilda have had 7 more possessions, 195 to 188, but Collingwood have had more kicks, 118 kicks and 70 hand passes. St Kilda 103 kicks and 92 hand passes. Marks have gone to Collingwood 64 to 58. Inside 50s, St Kilda have only gone inside 50 16 times in half a game of football. Collingwood have gone inside 50 26 times. Tackle count's gone to Collingwood also 37 to 26. Free kicks to St Kilda 11 to 7, including 6 to 0 in that second quarter. Hit-outs Collingwood 26 to 19. Individually, Dane Swan 12 kicks and 6 hand passes for 18 disposals. Thomas 15, Pendlebury 13, Shaw 12. Lee Brown averages 10 disposals for the year in a game, and he's had 10 in the first half, 5 of them contested. For St Kilda, both Sam Fisher and Lee Montagna had 11 possessions in the second quarter. Fisher 14 kicks, 6 hand passes. He's also taken 10 marks. Montagna's had 19 disposals, Goddard 17, Graham 13. And Dream Team points, Sam Fisher 84, Montagna 73, Goddard 64, Jones 60, and for Collingwood, Shaw 68, Swan 65, Pendlebury 63, and Wellingham 55.
Righto, so the team's just warming up before commencing the battle.
Yeah, just Mark and I were just having a chat there about this when you look at it, Collingwood's dominated this game, but St Kilda's still in striking distance. I think that's a significant thing. But then the $64 question is, if you only kick 3 goals as St Kilda's, they've got to change what they're doing. They've got to do something different. And to me, it's as much as about finding some forwards who become dangerous but close to goal. They've got to roll the dice. They've got to set themselves. For example, Snyder had 7 possessions in that quarter, but they were up around the midfield. Goddard and Montagna, and Goddard, would we say, 17, Montagna 19, they're all in the back half. Somehow they've got to break that situation. They've got to take them on. No good racking up positions down there. You've got to roll the dice. At times, I watched St Kilda in that quarter, and a lot of them got the footy because there were 3 or 4 back, so they could have raffled and kicked it. Some stage you've got to have a situation where you back a bloke to go one and then you go forward, because the problem, as Mark said so often, when St Kilda blokes had the footy looked up, they're only sideway kicks. There was nobody they could give it to forward, and nobody really wanted to run and to start to dominate it. So I would think that becomes critical. They may have to really challenge their setup too, Mark, because the tools down the forward line, apart from that first goal Kaczynski kicked, it's just nothing to go to down there.
Well, Patterson and Kaczynski and Revolt, they cannot have those 3 in the forward line at any time. Goddard has to go down. I would get rid of Kaczynski and I'd get rid of Patterson. I'd put them on the bench and rotate the rucks and really run into Jolly as hard as I possibly could. Put Goddard down there with some pace, with Nick as well, and put Nick right in the goal square. Give them the focal point there. Goddard plays centre-half forward. They need some change, and they need a lift from their midfield. Their midfield has been absolutely dominated. Lenny Hayes needs to lift big time, really big time. Montagna has to find a yard. They've really got to find something there. Peake needs to really put his head over the ball. There's a few other. Jason Graham's got to get into the game. Some of their really good players need to lift, and if they're within 2 goals at 3/4 time, look out.
They're heading to their positions. 26 points the gap between the two sides, and the lights on at the MCG on what is becoming a gloomy but still okay afternoon.
But a fascinating situation here. The winner goes to the top of the ladder, and at the moment you'd have to be on the Pies with a fantastic record in recent times. Clashes between these two. The one that leads at half-time wins the game 90% of the time. Collingwood up by 26 as we start the second half. Gardner goes early. Jolly beats him in the ruck. Gets the kick towards centre half forward. Oh, gee, might have been a free kick to Blair, who was taken out of it. Goddard gathers. It's holding the ball, umpire. And the umpire agrees. It was Geary. And Goddard throws the ball back now. Ball, who is a terrific tackler, goes with a short pass, and Thomas marks 54 metres out from goal. He gets on the run, kicks towards the goal line. Dawes is there. And in the goal square, I reckon Didak got it out of Davis. Kicked the ball virtually out of the air. And Davis gets a goal at the start of the second half. And Collingwood march on 8-7 to 3-5.
No, it's a brilliant start by the Pies. Well, if you want to come back against us, good luck. And they stood up in the centre of the ground, and Jolly took it straight out of the middle of the ground. And surely Davis is just brilliant in the goal square. It came out because Daisy Thomas put it to the top of the square, put a contest up. Dawes was there, put his hand up, bore it to the ground as he's supposed to do. And the brilliance of the little man, with his threw his foot at it like a soccer goal it was, or what you would call the world game goal, straight through the middle of the goals. But set up by Jolly in the middle of the ground and pushed forward really well by Daisy Thomas.
Oh, super start by the Pies, and that touch of magic that I think the Collingwood supporters have been looking for all year, built on some hard work ethic in the first half.
Pies by 32. Hayes out of the middle to Jones to Geary going backwards, slapped on by Fisher. Blake, they've given away 45 metres as Geary kicks it out on the... No, it bounces right on the line and doesn't go out on the full. They were forced backwards from the middle, basically to their own 50, and Geary was in a whisker of coughing the ball up out of bounds on the full. As it is, it's a throw-in 60 out from the Collingwood goal. The ruckman wrestle, Gardner down, but Didak has it for Collingwood. Kicks out into the pocket. Davis chases the bouncing ball, can't haul it in. Adam White.
Jared, Justin Kaczynski has started the second half on the ground in the forward line, not in the ruck. He's had a lot of medical attention during that first half. I don't think he's 100% fit.
Jelly, it's wide of him. Hayes the tap down to Goddard. Got caught with it, didn't get penalised. Ball to Swan, who got it again. Kick went nowhere. It's back in the pack. Milner's over the footy. Swan is tackling him. I reckon, the umpire's going to ping Milne. Gee, I'm not sure about that, but Sometimes that's what happens when you're Stephen Milne. Didak receives the hand pass from Swan and kicks it into the pocket for Sidebottom.
And I might say you can make one mistake, and whether it was there or not, but Stephen Mill, by arms out, having a go at the umpire, guess what? Collingwood blokes have run forward and crowd the loose man. Just absolutely stupidity.
Steele Sidebottom. He'll be against the boundary in the left forward pockets. Settles himself for the task at hand. Severe angle. 35 out. Sidebottom guides at a goal. It never deviated. The Magpies are going to be something to run down from here because they lead by 38 points. 9-7-61 to the Saints 3-5-23.
Yes, Jared, and in 3 minutes of the third term, they've snuffed out the expectation and the excitement of St Kilda going to the half-time break on Nick Rewell's goal. They've just come out, their attack on the ball, and the other thing that stands out to me is just the St Kilda blokes' mindset, all defensive, all pushback, all complaining about free kicks, doing those things, whereas Collingwood are switched on. They are switched on and taking every advantage of a disorganised St Kilda outfit right at this point of time. An enormous challenge now for St Kilda to come back from here.
Well, the Saints have won 7 games in a row, but they look like going under here today. The bounce. Gardner, maybe. Comes to Ray, who ducks a high tackle. Under pressure. They've been under pressure all day. Davis applying the good pressure then, and the umpire will bounce again. 61-23. Jolly, what an acquisition the premiership ruckman from the Swans has been for Collingwood this year. He's up against Gardner. Comes to Montagna. Standing start. High kick towards centre half forward. O'Brien is there. Fist of the ball away from Schneider. Wellingham. Thought I heard a whistle. Yes, it was a free kick here. Going to the Saints at centre half forward. And the kick's going to Jack Stephen.
Schneider. Schneider over the shoulder in the marking contest.
Against Harry?
Yes.
So Schneider, he reckons he can kick this. He's going back a long, long way. O'Brien's on the mark 51 metres from goal. Schneider would need to kick it a good 55. He winds up and lets go with a beautiful long kick, but he had to hook it to get the distance and missed to the right-hand side off the left. So the Saints go to 3-6 and Collingwood 9-7 after 5 minutes of the third quarter.
Ben Johnson on kick-in duty for the Pies. Not a lot short, so he's going to run out into the back pocket himself and deliver long in the Jolly direction. Why wouldn't you? He hits the pack hard, works it down to Shaw, kicked across the body to get it out of the defensive area, but it's cut off by Fisher. Fisher dabs it up to Jones and back to Fisher. He can put the Saints to full forward. They're marking targets down there. Kosicki is the main man. He couldn't pull it in. Thomas stands against the Saints attackers. He gave it up though. Ray's kick went particularly nowhere. Just drifted out into the forward pocket. Swan onto it for the Pies. Hand pass to Jolly. Close confines. Took him on. Jolly bounces across the face of goal and relieves the pressure out to Goldsack. Oh, he half volleyed himself. Gave Gilbert a look. Goldsack turns tackler. Keeps it into spin. Thomas, whilst reaching his hand out to keep it in the field of play, very cleverly went the wrong side of the line to get the relief of the boundary throw in.
Here's the throw in on the 50. Patterson in front. Ball comes down to Jones. Hand pass to Montagna. Kick smothered by Shaw. It spills to Sidebottom. Hand passes dangerously to Jolly. Jolted out of his arms, but it comes to Swan, who bounces the ball up towards centre wing. High ball for Gilbert. Taken to ground and a good tackle by McCaffrey. Umpires speaking to Tarkin Lockyer here, and it's going to be a free kick to Gilbert. Gilbert's pass finds Montagna at half forward, run down by Ball, the kick from the outside of the boot, and the mark's claimed down there and paid as well to Reid. They're going to get out of defence here. Tuvey gathers the bouncing ball on defensive 50 over at the Great Southern stand side, and the Beams on the turn, kicks over the wing. McCaffrey, good mark. Terrific chest mark. And did ever reach his chest. Brent McCaffer goes short. And the mark taken by Pendlebury. Onto the chest of Leon Davis, who marks on the 50, wheels around, kicks to full forward. A chance for Collingwood here, and a chest mark taken by Swan, who just keeps getting where the ball is. Dane Swan, leading the ABC Footballer of the Year, favourite for the Brownlow medal. Kicking for his first goal today, kicked it behind in the second quarter. You're going to get a percentage booster at this rate. Only 15 metres out. Well, it's 3-0 in this third quarter. And Collingwood at 10-7, St Kilda 3-6 after 8 minutes.
And they don't look like it at all, the Saints. They have actually no idea what they're doing. They're miles behind. The Pies are just running rampant. It's like circle work at practice on the oval today. Leon Davis is finding his feet. He's starting to make some moves up the ground. But you know what? It was all set up, as Stan said, by good hard work in the first quarter. Good hard tackling. Get your body in line. Put your body in line for your mates and do that. All of a sudden, he's starting to come into it. And how good is Dane Swan? If he's not in the top 2 or 3 players in the competition,
he's in.
He is has to be, doesn't he?
He's
absolutely outstanding.
Steve Pearce, York Park.
After 6 minutes of the third term, Jared Hawthorn's lead is 30 points. They're 9-6, 60 to Brisbane's 5 straight 30.
Collingwood by 43. Jones out of the middle for St Kilda. Bounces it through centre half forward. Knocked away by Reid. Gathered by Goddard, but his hand pass is picked off by Pendlebury. Hand pass to Tuvey, who has a run at half-back. Gives it to Wellingham. Shovels it on past Blair. He's in a fight with Goddard, and the more experienced Saint wins it. Hand pass to McQualter. Pushed in the back by Davis. He might have tackled, he didn't. Wilk sideways on the advantage. Patterson hand passed over his head for Graham. Now back to Patterson. They're going nowhere, metaphorically and physically. Gilbert tries to break the line. Hand pass to Schneider. Flying shot of goal is away to the right. It's an ugly behind to the Saints. They trail by 42. Adam White.
Jared, just to emphasise my point from the second quarter, Collingwood players go to the bench. They're up on their toes, sprinting from the ground. When St Kilda do the same thing, the players look tired. They're labouring. Really, really bad body language.
Johnson into Ball for the Pies. This will be something sweet for Luke Ball. He kicks from the back pocket over half-back flank. Jolly is there, held down by Kosicki, and allows Hayes to fly in and take the mark. Lenny, very quiet day. He kicks it out from full forward. Revolt in the pack. No mark. Comes to Pendlebury. Thrown to ground by Graham. Spills to Ray. Hand pass off. Hurried kick by McQualter. Comes to the front. Milne tried to hack one out of the air. That was a 1,000,000-to-1 shot. Picked off there by Harry O'Brien. Kicks outside the 50. Saints combine. Fisher works it to Revolt, who kicks to the goal square. And Patterson juggles. His arm was taken. His arm was taken. I reckon the ump paid the free rather than the mark.
Yeah, I watched the signal. You're spot on, Drew.
So, Adam Patterson looking for his first goal of the season. The ex-Tiger. Man on the mark, less than 10 metres out. He goes with a hand pass to Milne around the corner, and Milne gets on the scoreboard. And gets the hoots of the Collingwood crowd. They've got some sort of a memory. Collingwood 10-7, St Kilda 4-7.
Well, he pinched one there, little Milne, and he had to pinch it because he's had nothing all day. He's been questioned by everyone around the joint in big games, and no, the question hasn't been lifted, Stephen. He gave himself a little clap as well. It was like he'd won Tatslotto. Seriously, he was just outstanding. He thought he was terrific. Did he go back to Patterson and say thanks? Nah, just left him on his own. What a great feeling it must be to have him in your side.
That was very weird. Whitey Revolt back to the bench?
Yeah, he is, but I think he's okay. But I just reckon it's one of those things with the Saints at the moment that they're just worried every time he comes from the field. Maybe it's that second up syndrome, Jared.
Kosicki down to Montagna. Saints trailing by 36. Milne trying to get into the play. Took the footy. Works it off inside the 50. No mark taken. McQualter. Quick hands to Montagna. He fumbled, but he might have got down without it. It's going to be a free kick to Lee Montagna. And it should result in a goal. Some high contact dished out in the estimation of the umpire. Magpie fans vent their fury such a decision.
Free kicks are 15-9, St Kilda's way.
Montagna is directly in front. 30 metres out from goal. Right foot drop punt from the boot of Montagna. No. He hangs it out to the right. Collingwood fans give a little extra cheer. They lead by 35, the Pies. Steve Pearce, York Park.
10 minutes gone. Jared in the third term. Hawthorn by 38 points. A wonderful goal from Wade Skipper on the boundary from 50 metres out has helped them to 10-8-68. Brisbane 5 straight 30.
And the margin 35 here at the MCG. Tuvey with it, who gets a Tuvey every time he gets it from the Collingwood crowd. Good shepherd by the man on the mark, and they do that well, Collingwood. I think they invented it and they perfected it, and they've got out of trouble here. But the final hand pass goes astray. Fisher gets in there, gets a hand pass to Hayes, and Lenny Hayes has taken the ground in a Lee Brown tackle that had to be seen to be believed. Lenny's had a poor day, but what a tackle by big Leroy. Kicks it inboard and backwards. Mark taken by Reid from Wang Rovers. Short pass out to Thomas. Pinpoint to ball. All by foot down the line. Didak. Centre wing, Great Southern stand side. Lights on. Light breeze, overcast day. Didak. Oh, pinpoint, but straight to the opposition, and of all people, to Fisher, who has had an outstanding day. Mind you, it's been on St Kilda's back line a lot.
He goes backward to Blake, now to full back for Goddard. Yeah. They look for the transfer out the members' side. 2 bounces for Goddard, draws the pressure at him, delivers to centre half back for Hayes. Hayes goes back, wins at Kane. Right half back for Blake, now intent on going forward. Kicks it for Graham from the logo. Oh, just bought the hand pass, had to go backward to Montagna. He measures up the short pass to Hayes. So all this to reach the attacking side of the middle. Hayes, oh, far too adventurous. Ran into Goldsack, who made the smother. And the Pies come up with it. Beams hand passes the ball. Dragged down by Hayes. Retrieves the situation. Should have been holding the ball. Lockyer as the Magpies push on. Puts it out to Didak. Runs it at goal. Getting back Goddard. It sits on its point against the behind post and is seen out of play.
What's Goddard doing back there, Stan?
Well, he's just trying to save the game. Somebody should tell him the scoreboard. He's an attacking player. He's getting back and getting kicks where they have other options. He should be the next person they should be going to, not just getting the soft kick.
Gardner wins the hit. Down to Hayes. Hand pass to Montagna. He's under pressure, Lenny. But a good kick by Montagna. And the mark taken by Patterson over half back. Slides off the hand pass. And the kick up the ground comes to Riebold, centre wing. Kick by Rui into open space. McWalter runs onto the ball. Marks on the run. Nobody ahead of him. Gets inside 50 and goes for an unguarded goal and hits the post. It bounced in the goal square, took a little leg break and hit the padding of the left goal post.
It was an absolute floater. Came off his foot going sideways. Oh, it actually was a floater if you watch it. It was floating all over the joint, then bounced straight into a post.
Well, they're kicking a Collingwood score, St Kilda. They're 4-9, Collingwood 10-7.
O'Brien has been loose out of the defence here and turned the ball over. Farron Ray delivers it out to the wing for Dawson. That ball from McWalter was dead centre of the goal when it bounced half a metre out. Just turned wickedly out into the post. Long kick into the forward line. Jolly makes a definitive spoil. Straight down to Lockyer off the side bottom. Caught in the tackle of Gilbert. Ball spills free. Fisher has it. They all have him. And together they go to ground. Adam White.
It's really obvious here at ground level for Mark and for Stan. St Kilda have lost their forward line structure. And as a consequence, the St Kilda midfielders have lost confidence in bringing the ball forward with any speed.
Collingwood by 34. Jolly down to Pendlebury. Up to half forward. Sits on its point. Gilbert is onto it for the Saints. Oh, he took an eternity. Side bottom got him. Holding the ball. They claim the advantage. Through Goldsack to Swan. Now Didak in the pocket. He's chased the loose ball. No, it's all coming back.
Yeah.
So it will come back to Sidebottom, who laid the winning tackle.
And speaking of tackles, Jared Cameron has given me the stats. That was Collingwood's 51st tackle for the game. St Kilda's had 29.
Well, Sammy Gilbert's starting to let himself down. He's been fantastic, Sammy Gilbert, one of the stars of this side, and all of a sudden now he's falling into the trap as well.
Yeah, it's that uncertainty that Whitey mentioned from the bench, isn't it?
Steel side bottom spreads it around the 50. Jolly. It'd still be 55 from goal. Harry O'Brien lurks. Harry O'Brien's going to lay the shepherd to the man on the mark. Jolly didn't quite get through. Hand pass to O'Brien. They might have mucked this up, Collingwood. Almost lost. Blair with a hand pass. It is cut off. Schneider to Graham. Round the body. The kick partially smothered. It lands out near the wing. Johnson onto it for Collingwood. Hand pass to Reid. Now over to Pendlebury. Kicks to centre half forward. Thomas presents. Played on too quickly. Smothered by Stephen. Pendlebury retrieves. Gives Thomas a second look. Plays it up to half forward. Wellingham is onto it. Pumps the hand pass to Didak, who is hot. Taken in the tackle and dispossessed. Didak fights on. Hand pass to Wellingham. Kick to full forward. They wrestle. No mark. Dawes is the crummer. Swan up over the top. Goldsack to Fresh Airy. Gets a second chance. Hand pass to Beams. Kicks the goal. Blue collar stuff from the Pies. They just would not be denied. They lead by 40 points, 11-7 to 4-9, 19 minutes into the third term.
There's one thing that just was illustrated to me, and it's called numbers at the ball. In that situation, Collingwood made 3 very bad errors. Fumble, caught, tackle, etc. But you know what? Nobody's talking about that now. You know why? Because they had numbers, they had teammates who got to the footy, they mopped it up, spillage in the goal square, 3 or 4 chances, the ball comes out and Beam snaps it. That is just a wonderful team goal by doing the things that would make your coach's chest just go out with pride.
Well, they led the competition earlier in the year. Everybody was hailing them as favourites, the Pies. They're going to lead again tonight by the looks of this. Boy, the noise around Australia will be deafening. Bursting out of the middle, Blair. And he's kicked to half forward. There's it chopped off in the last line.
That was their 9th individual goal kicker too.
Sean Dempster goes for a bounce and aimlessly just wanders across the ground. They can't break this Collingwood wall in the middle of the ground, and he's had to kick it sideways to Fisher. If he stays back there, he'll finish up with 100 possessions. It's just really ugly to watch.
Oh.
Blake kicks close to the boundary line, and Gilbert marks on the white chalk. Closer to back pocket than half back. Gilbert, short little toe poke to Dawson. Have gone nowhere. Back to Gilbert. Now the kick outside the 50, and guess what? To a contest, and they've turned it over. Little toe poke forward by Swan. Gets it inside the 50. Thomas in there applying a good tackle. And it'll be a ball up. It is 73 to 33, and Collingwood giving it to the Saints today.
50 out from their goal. Jolly knocks it wide of the pack. Montagna spikes the Saints out of danger though. Out in front of Goddard. Kicks for an open forward lane. Prestigiacomo favoured by the flight of the ball. He takes the mark away from Revolt. Hand pass to Johnson. Sets them round the southern wing.
Oh, good run.
Thomas slides in on a long run to take the mark. Works it forward for Pendlebury. Prepared to be patient. Saints with their numbers back. And no possibility of mounting a comeback playing like this. Pendlebury kicks up to half forward. Dawes worked underneath it. Gilbert on the spillage. Hand pass to Gwilt. Gives it to Montagna. Back he goes to Gilbert. Measures the kick into the middle. Bounces it to Milne. He fumbled but gets it back. Hand pass to Gardner. Kicked it off the side of the boot. Aimless stuff. Falls for Pendlebury. Hand pass to side bottom. They look to go quickly. Now to Thomas. Kicks it up to Swan at half forward. He marks and plays on and opens up. Swan into the pocket. Short of Davis. Oh, he stole it. No, the mark was paid. The mark was paid to Gardner just before Davis ripped it from his grasp and snapped it through.
Oh, it's going to be a bit of magic. But again, that Swan's ability to run away from a bloke chasing him, scooted on, and then the presence of mind to put it up. And
that's a 50-metre penalty, actually.
Oh, you're right too.
And they haven't paid it.
And rightly so, because it's common sense. It was in the course of play. And with the crowd down there, you can just imagine players aren't going to hear the whistle with the crowd just going up. The Collingwood faithful down that end when they saw Leon on the footy. Berserk.
They did. The Gardner now with the free kick. He tried to take it away from the mark, had to go back. Now he hugs the boundary line, short of centre wing. Goldsack up high, couldn't take the mark. Hand pass. Out of the pack. Finishes up with Stephen, who's had a very quiet day. Up the ground to Schneider. Over the top, Stephen again. Over the wing. Revolt, not great. Swan with his great pace, gets back there again. Centres the ball and Lockyer takes the mark. Close to centre half back for the Pies. He is quick off the mark, Dane Swan. Goes hard when the ball's in his area. Comes to the bench, looks for a bit of a rest. But boy, does he get where the ball is. He shares it a couple of times with Lockyer, who kicks out to Wellingham. And they've switched it from the Great Southern side to the members' side. They lead 73-33, and we're in time on in the third quarter. 23 and a half minutes played.
Swan's had it, I think, 28 or 29 times. He's about
29.
He's about to rack another one up.
A mark and another kick coming. Quick check with Steve Pearce.
Brisbane getting walloped now by Hawthorn to the tune of 59 points. 20 minutes gone in the third term. Hawthorn 13-11-89. Brisbane 5 straight.
Swan kicked it to Reid. He's about to tag out. The kick is actually following him. Jolly couldn't get to it, and the kick actually floats out of bounds on the full. So a poor result from Reid. Talk about getting where the footy is. Even when he's on the interchange bench, Swanee's right next to it.
That's right.
Patterson walking right into him. Patterson sets the Saints forward to a milling pack. Revolt in it. Prestigiacomo the spoil. Tuvi's dispossessed. Ray overruns it. Jones is dragged off it. Lockyer piles in. Is able to release the footy. Side bottom hand pass to nobody in particular. But there's a free kick in here going Didak's way. So Alan Didak at the defensive 50 for Collingwood. They lead 73-33. Kick out to the wing. Jolly outnumbered again. He got one hand to it, just about pushed back off it. Nothing doing. McWalter, the give and go. Now Gilbert out to Revolt. Put it round his laces. They've done him no favours. It's off his hands and out of play. And Revolt is checking out back to the interchange. Swatty?
He gave Sam Gilbert a real spray as he came off as well. That was a little disappointing.
Well, these aren't great signs for St Kilda. Beams from the boundary throw in. Bursting through the third game. Blair gets the hand pass away. Man under pressure. St Kilda's ball. And comes away to Peake, who goes short. Montagna goes another short one, and Schneider takes the mark about 40 metres from goal.
And we've criticised him, but a pat on the back to Milne. Milne's effort there just to hold Johnson off and allow him to spoil was really good team play.
Well, the Saints, they kicked one in the first minute of the game. They kicked two in the second quarter. They've kicked only one goal in this third quarter. We've played 26 minutes nearly. And this for just their second goal of this third quarter and fifth for the game. Schneider off the left, 46 metres out. Missed it. Well, this is getting to Collingwood proportions, their bad kicking. 4-10 St Kilda, Collingwood 11 goals 7. Last time these two teams met, Collingwood kicked 4-17.
We've got Schneider at 3 behinds. Johnson marks into the back pocket for Didak. Works it out now to Luke Ball. They're on the southern side of the G, the Pies. Ball searches for the way ahead. He still tries and now works the kick up in that direction. Coming back was Beams. The spoil was made and Lockyer on the mop up. He kicked in a hurry and blazed it out of bounds on the full. So St Kilda will work it around the back line as is their method. Geary marks. Gilbert's at full back. Peake, probably the outlet kick. That's where it comes. Defensive 50. Now on the broadcast side, Kaczynski offers a lead. He's ignored. It goes longer. Fisher the target over the top of Wellingham.
That Kaczynski lead was a lead that I don't want it. He just ran underneath the footy so he couldn't be used. Well,
He's only taken a couple of steps away from it too, so he's not presenting as the next man either. Gwilt gave it off to Peake after marking. Now to Hayes, back to Gwilt, out on the wing, wider still to Goddard. Swan from the bench. Goddard gets the kick away with good awareness. Up to Milne, took it on the first bounce, gets onto the right boot, sets it to a stronghold of Saints, and Kazitsky has actually worked to be part of the play, and he takes the mark.
Yes, this will be his fourth possession of the game. When you think of their forward line, Rewald's had 6, Kazitsky 3. This will be his first for the quarter. Stephen has only had 6 and Milne only 5. I mean, just not an involvement. There's just not enough presenting. And I talked about that ball had to be a missed kick really to him for him to get it. He just hasn't have an appetite for it.
Kazitsky kick, the first of the game, has been underwhelming since. From 48 metres out, the right foot drop punts, doesn't threaten. It's away to the right. And a further behind, 4-11 St Kilda, trailing Collingwood 11-7, so that's 38 points.
Jack Stephen ran past Milne looking for a hand pass. Hasn't he seen that fella's career? Milne did a U-turn, looked at him, turned away from him. Didak marks the kick in, now gets it outside 50. Oh, ball, backing back with the flight of the ball. Terrific overhead mark. Luke Ball kicks out towards the wing. Davis somehow found himself in a bit of space just inside the boundary line through centre wing. Offers a little hand pass away to Didak. Up the ground with an underground kick to Wellingham. They keep it going forward. Tubi's hand pass not good. Chopped off by Dawson for the Saints, but Dawson gives it straight back. Now fight for it at ground level, and the umpire says, OK, I'll have it. The surprising thing to me is that we're not getting more noise from the Collingwood fans. It's such a big crowd, you'd have to think, in Collingwood's fans' favour, why aren't they just shouting the roof off? 3/4 time. What a lead here for Collingwood. They lead by 38 points at the final change. And St Kilda, who came in having won their previous 7 games, have managed just 4 goals 11. It's Collingwood 11-7, 73. St Kilda 4-11, 35. 38 points the difference. Goal kickers for Collingwood, well, they've all had a go pretty much. Lee Brown has kicked 2. And Shaw has kicked 2. Heath Shaw, the defender, he's kicked his 2nd and 3rd goals for the season, and the rest in singles to Davis, Ball, Beams, Sidebottom, McCaffer, Dawes and Swan. And for St Kilda, their sorry tale, just 4 goals, and they've come to Revolt, Geary, Kazitsky and Milne. At the final change at the MCG, the Pies 11-7, 73 to the Saints 4-11-35.
Steve Pearce at York Park.
27 minutes gone now, Jared, in the third term, and Hawthorn are home and hosed by some margin. They lead 14-12-96 to Brisbane's 5 straight, so the lead's 66 points. There's still a couple of minutes left in the third term, and Brisbane going nowhere fast.
This is Grandstand AFL on ABC Local Radio, Radio Australia and Digital Radio.
Slow Listening is a new 2-CD album inspired by the best-selling book Slow Cooker from author Sally Wise. Slow Listening is a musical smorgasbord of beautiful classics to accompany the flavours and aromas of winter cooking. Sally Wise has contributed a couple of new recipes so you can nourish yourself and nourish your soul. Transform your kitchen with Slow Listening. Available now from ABC Shops, ABC Centres and Shop Online.
Grandstand AFL.
Kick towards the goal line. Dawes is there. And in the goal square, I reckon Davis kicked the ball virtually out of the air.
Swan is tackling him. I reckon the umpire's going to ping Milne. Sometimes that's what happens when you Stephen Milne. Didak receives a hand pass from Swan and kicks it into the pocket for Sidebottom. Guides to the goal and never deviated. The Magpies are going to be something to run down from here.
Kicks the full forward. A chance for Collingwood here. And a chest mark taken by Swan, who just keeps getting where the ball is. Less than 10 metres out. He goes with a hand pass to Milne around the corner, and Milne gets on the scoreboard and gets the hoots of the Collingwood crowd.
Swan up over the top, goal sack to Fresh Airy, gets the second chance, hand pass to Beams, kicks the goal. Blue collar stuff from the Pies.
On ABC Local Radio.
Collingwood by 38 points at the final change over St Kilda. Stan Elves and Mark McClure.
Well, Collingwood in this term just bounced out like really good sides do at the start of this term, and really within 8 minutes they'd totally undone I guess the hope that St Kilda had taken at half-time when Nick Riola kicked that goal after the bell. Started less than a minute. Leon Davis, sensational crumbing effort, kicks the ball out of mid-air, side bottom follows up, and Swan then, who's just been sensational over the ground at the 8-minute mark, got his third. It was just Collingwood in total control. They're just winning everywhere. When you think the only goal for St Kilda in that quarter came to Milne, who really snuck round the back and just got the soft one and kicked it around the bend. They've just won everywhere. Around the packs has just been the key, though. Mentioned Swan, ball in and under, Pendlebury racking up, Thomas out wide, even Didak. I thought Didak, who's been a good player, in a great battle with Jones, he broke the shackles in that quarter, and Beams. And the real positive thing for them is that, they've kicked 11-7, but 9 individual goal kickers. They're just going to the best option, the first option, total control. St Kilda, on the other hand, they are in total disarray, and if there's anything illustrates it, none more than their coach and Torian. They forgot about the line coaches, and Ross Lyon for about 6 or 7 minutes, he just took his players to task. He talked the little things there, such as I can see him talking about half volleys, about keep your eye on the ball and not lifting your head up, all those little basic things, because they really are in total disarray. This is so uncharacteristic for the St Kilda Football Club that we've come to see over the last few years, but you've got to say full credit to Collingwood. They have been absolutely superb individually and, more importantly, in all the team aspects of this game.
Adam White, you would have had a pretty good view of a lot of that.
And I was just going to echo Stan's thoughts there, because that's exactly what happened. Ross Lyon initially actually spent probably the last 2 minutes of the third quarter on the bench, deep in discussion with the captain, Nick Revolt, who spent the last 5 or 6 minutes sitting on the pine. They then continued that discussion into the huddle before Lyon took over. And we've seen St Kilda, Jared, a lot of times this year. The lack of intensity is something that was evident at the start of the game, and at ground level you can often get a good feel for it. It never really improved. It's almost like they all took some sort of drink before the game and just lulling them into this sort of, I don't know what you'd call it. It's really interesting to see St Kilda, because one thing you'd pride themselves on, Mark and Stan, or the St Kilda Footy Club prides themselves on, is intensity and tackling pressure. And as the stats show, that's down significantly, which is very un-St Kilda-like.
Jared Cameron is keeping those stats. Jared.
At three-quarter time, Collingwood had lead the inside 50 count, 33-27. Tackles was Collingwood 60 to St Kilda 39. St Kilda have conceded 8 goals directly from turnovers, and Collingwood have conceded just 3 directly from their turnovers. The leading ball winner on the ground, Dane Swan, who racked up another 11 in that quarter for a total of 29. He's had 18 kicks and 11 hand passes. Pendlebury 22, Thomas and Didak 21, and for St Kilda, Lee Montagna has had 28 disposals. Fisher 26 with 14 marks, Goddard 23, and Sam Gilbert 20.
And Launceston just lagging a bit behind us at the G. Steve Pearce, not quite three-quarter time?
No, we're pretty nearly there. There'd be about a matter of seconds to go, Jared. We've played 32 minutes in this term, but it's been an absolute shellacking for Brisbane. They have been taken apart in every possible part of the game that you would imagine. Hawthorn kicked 7 consecutive goals in this term to stretch their lead out to a game-high 78 a moments ago, but Brent Staker did get Brisbane's 6th goal to pull it back to 72, but at three-quarter time, with a bit of ill feeling between the sides, but Brisbane may as well almost go home and not bother with that. 16-12, 108 Hawthorn to Brisbane's 6 goals straight, 36. Lewis has got 4 for the Hawks, Roughhead 3, Young 3, Skipper, Peterson, Rioli, Brown, Osborne and Ellis. For Brisbane, Favola, Brown 2, Buchanan and Power, but some of Hawthorn's players been outstanding, and one of them just moments ago when Clint Young got a 50-metre goal on the run involving Xavier Ellis, Gillum, even some of the lesser lights. They really have ripped Brisbane apart.
Final term underway at the MCG. Collingwood by 38 points. Bit of a jumble in the middle. Goddard out to Hayes. The Saints go forward first. Tuvey makes the spoil, but it slips to the back. Didak first to arrive for Collingwood. Hand pass out to Swan. Works it up the line for Thomas. Newmark out at left half back. Dale Thomas. Go backward to Didak, but instead he'll advance the cause with a skimmer going forward. Ball pulls it in. Hand passes it off to Pendlebury, floating by. Into the forward line. Jolly's the leaper. He couldn't mark. Ball is loose. Davis onto it from the boundary. His favoured pocket, almost not to be this time. He misses to the near side with the bouncing ball. Collingwood by 39.
Could be a bit of celebration time in this last quarter.
Leon could have put that to the top of the square. There was two blokes standing there, ready to wait. Pretty selfish little deal there with Leon.
Hayes marks the kick in. Gives away the hand pass to Peake. Fisher takes another mark at half-back. Through Blake to Ray. Long kick by Ray to Revolt. He's had his hands full with Presti today. Gathers the bouncing ball. Hand passes back to Schneider. Schneider's pass to the pocket. Montagna on the lead. Takes the mark. Near the boundary line. Centres the ball. Graham camped underneath it. Well, Didak did enough to put him off it, and he dropped the put. And Didak won the ball. Gets the hand pass away. The young Blair back to Didak. Well, he made him look foolish, Alan Didak, then. Few bounces, gets up to centre wing up. Beautiful pass off the left. McCaffer takes the mark. In between wing and half forward. Open forward line. Lee Brown wants it. Lee Brown might get it. And Dawes there as well. Brown up a mile but couldn't hang on to the mark. That would have been okay. It spills away to Peake.
He's full of the joy of life, Brown, today. The Saints combine out of defence. Goddard and Hayes. The kickers lax into the middle, overrun by Thomas, but Tuvi's onto it for the Pies. Hand pass to Johnson. They'll go back inside the 50. Dawes is working out near the boundary, and the ball is bouncing and eluding him.
Another one.
It's been his lot for the afternoon.
They've said, we're just waiting for Clokey to come back. You're not going to kick a bag today.
Now there's a blood rule here. Zach Dawson is going to be dispatched from the field. So there'll be a pause because this is a long run across the ground.
Can we just talk a little bit about the skill of Alan Didak in not giving away that free, but just enough to turn that. Most guys would have just conceded, I'm going to give away a free, but the way he turned, he was not facing the footy, but he jumped in the air, spread his arms out just enough to cause Graham to lose focus, worry about the contact, which never came, drops the ball, then at ground level follows up. Next minute he's got the ball on the centre wing and does a lovely pass. That's super play.
Collingwood by 39. Ball in their forward line. Play back underway. Punched out of there by Kosicki. But Swan is onto it and he's breaking clear. He sets them inside the 50. Beams went over the top of it. Schneider dispossessed. Swan is there again. Hand pass to Jolly. His hand pass is knocked down and gathered by Peake. Goddard, Fisher. Again, they're just too close to each other to create any play and they'll lose it. Blair to Sidebottom to Wellingham. Loads it up for full forward, flying from all directions. McCaffer stays down and off the outside of the boot kicks a beauty. 2 for McCaffer. Collingwood by 45. 12-8 to 4-11.
Just a super goal by McCaffer down that forward line. He's been just the opportunist for them. But I just want to come back to where Jared was calling that ball, bobbling around about the 50-metre mark. There was so many in close and everybody's coming in. Wellingham was smart. He just backpedaled about 4 or 5 metres off the pack. So if there was a chance to get a handball, he could be the person that was released back then. Fantastic presence of mind. The kick is in. This is how they've played all day. To me, they've just been up and running. They've almost been 1 to 2 thoughts ahead of St Kilda all day.
Gee, they might be saying to themselves, well, we've got you covered if we ever play you again in the finals. We've beaten the Bulldogs twice. We've just got to look after Geelong. From the bounce, it goes sideways and we'll get another bounce. But it's surely something for the Collingwood Hordes to get excited about. Here's the bounce. And Jolly has just been fantastic. Palms it beautifully down to Thomas, who gives it up, actually, to Clint Jones.
Oh, no.
Hurry kick. Here goes Swan, sprinting like an Olympian. Gathers the ball, gets the hand pass away, but a disappointing kick by Tuvey out of bounds on the full. Free kick to Graham. And nobody ever puts a hard tag on Swan. He just wanders about. There's nobody with him, and he just keeps getting the ball. They think that he's not hurting you by getting a lot of touches. He's killing you by getting a lot of touches. Montagna gets a hand pass over the top to Hayes. Centering ball. Oh, good mark and defence by Reid. Beauty.
There hasn't been much wrong with this game.
Yeah. He's improved a lot, Stan.
She's won the important ones, hasn't he?
Yeah, improved a lot.
Reed kicked it to Thomas in the back pockets. Thomas thought about going across the face of goal, thinks better of it. Lee Brown is set up out at half-back, uses the body and takes a strong mark against Dawson. Brown looks down the line. He'll use Blair, his third game this afternoon. Edges it on to Didak. Beams short, couple on long. Dawes have made a little bit of space. Didak's going to send it down in that direction now. There's plenty to compete against. The kick fell in short and Blake was able to take the mark for the Saints. Hand pass to Gwilt. Gallivanting across the face of goal. Out for Kazitsky. Left half back. Ray running forward. 30-metre hand pass from Kazitsky. Ball bounced away from Ray initially. They came at him. He worked his way backward to Kazitsky. He decides not to kick. Hand passed up in the air. Dawes smothered it. Pushed Kazitsky over as if he was a rag doll.
And he's given up. Kazitsky, look at him.
Yeah, it's terrible.
He lost it over the ball as Pete McCaffer trying to win it back with a strong tackle. It'll be bounced at half forward for the Pies.
Problem is he's lost it, Stan, I think, and he knows it himself, and that's the worst thing you can do. They've got to do something about that kid at this stage.
Going to be a St Kilda free kick out of this. Not sure why. Farron Ray. Kazitsky, hands on hips. He's, well, sometimes he can look disinterested. Often looks unfit. Now, Goddard's marked, and he's going to get a 50-metre penalty with Goldsack just getting over the mark. And Goddard will go all the way from the back edge of the square to centre half forward.
That's the first for the day, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It was the rule of the week a week or two ago. Short pass, and he finds Stephen. And Jack Stevens had a very quiet day. 20-year-old. He goes for the short pass, and Revolt takes the mark. Not that much closer to goal, really, but Revolt, of course, champion goal kicker. He's kicked just one today. 1 goal, 1. He was injured in round 3 against Collingwood when they met the first time this season. Returned last week against Brisbane at the Gabba. Still not at his pomp. Goes for his second. Missed it. And listen to the Collingwood fans. Oh, they're happy with that. Actually, last time they met, Collingwood were goalless in the second half. There's a chance today that St Kilda might be much better. They might just get 1 goal in the second half.
Johnson marked the kick in. Got it to Didak. Back across the face of goal for O'Brien. He's on the behind line. But has the way out through Beams. Again in the left back pocket. O'Brien's on the follow-up. Beams doesn't give it. Instead, he waxes it back across the face of goal to Wellingham. Now kick a little further away from goal to Preston Giacomo. He sweeps his hand pass up over the top to Sidebottom. Does the 360. Didn't give the hand pass initially. Does now to Wellingham, who followed up. Kicks the Pies around the southern wing. Too strong for McCaffer, but Fisher is holding on. McCaffer's ball. Jolly has run forward. He'll mark 55 out from goal. He slips the hand pass away. The kick from Beams to full forward. Swan is there. Brown at the back. He trundles on after it. Gathers in the field of play. Hand pass to Ball. Works it around the side. And the mark is taken up by Pendlebury.
Well done, Lee Brown.
And the skipper for the day can go back and line up his first.
Didn't the Kangaroos celebrate when they got rid of Lee Brown?
Good coach, Mick Malthouse. He continues to back his players non-stop. And I think he's done a great job with Lee Brown.
He's the whipping boy that's come good. Pendlebury from the digits, painted on the ground, left half full. Skips in. Sends it to goal. It's left. And a behind. Collingwood by 45. Steve Pearce, York Park.
3.5 minutes gone in the final quarter, Jared, and it's Hawthorn by 73. They're 16-13, 109 to Brisbane, 6 straight, 36.
Blair trying to take the mark. The St Kilda player came in the opposite direction, knocked it out of his hands, so St Kilda now have it up near the wing. Milne gets a rare touch from Geary. And a kick towards half forward. Good mark by Patterson. Hand pass to Montagna, 60 from goal. He kicks it inboard to centre half forward, and Fisher has marked everything today. Marks again to Graham, further afield, and the mark taken by Gilbert. Well, they've lost a bit of ground. So
yeah, just that poor little kick backwards. If he had been out in front of him, he could have played on.
Kick by Gilbert, and Patterson again. He was taken down. No free kick. It spills to Stephen, and Jack Stevens snaps a goal. Rare as hen's teeth for the Saints today. He gets his first, and St Kilda a measly 5 goals. 5-12 to Collingwood 12-9.
Yeah, it's been very rare, and Jack Stevens gets one. They kick 1 in the first, 2 in the second, 1 in the third, and 1 in the fourth. This is a side that was on top of the ladder. Well, they don't look like they're on top of the ladder today. They've been very ordinary, and they've been beaten in every aspect of the game. They were very lucky to get that little goal there, but at least they kicked it in with some haste. They got it to a spot that was dangerous. They gave a contest. The ball comes down, and you know what? You never know what's going to happen. They haven't done enough of that today. They've fiddled around. They've been very poor in every aspect. This is a flogging of a major catastrophe for the Saints.
Collingwood by 39. Jolly wins the tap and punches it further clear to Wellingham. Slipped over, but able to get the hand pass out near Didak. Kicked it off the ground accidentally. Stephen puts him down, gathers the footy, runs into a tackle, and that's where it is.
Pushing it back to Didak?
Oh, just a fraction. Only in the middle.
Right half forward for the Saints. Into the turf, not clear by Hayes, down to Montagna. Hand passes it off to Jones, gives a little ground to Gilbert, gets himself sufficiently clear for the drop punt to fall forward. Peake is wrestling, so too Gardner. Ball spills clear of them. Shaw, a rare fumble off the ground. Milne, he pokes the behind. And St Kilda trail by 38 points.
Richmond at the MCG next round for Collingwood, and the Saints play Hawthorn. And the Hawks on the march by the sounds of what's going on in Tassie today. Farron Ray takes the mark just outside the 50. Short pass is good, and Lenny Hayes hasn't been his greatest day.
Stan, why would you let Ben Johnson kick out? That's not his strong suit.
They're probably that confident, Mark. I don't really care who kicks out.
It's like giving the ball to Marcus North. Hayes, 50 metres from goal. At the city end, it's left all the way. Still in the field of play. Off hands and through for a rush behind.
No, he hasn't gone this time.
Well, they've burned him this time, Mark. They've heard you.
I know.
Pies by 37. Steve Pearce, York Park.
74 points now the advantage for Hawthorn after 7 minutes of the final term. 16-14, 110, Brisbane 6 straight.
O'Brien kicked it in, and it actually went through the legs of side bottom without him touching it.
The nutmeg.
And it run out of play. That was unusual. Farron Ray, he could just about have a shot from the 50. He sets it to the top of the square. Revolt leaps. Reed gets his fist to it, clears the danger area and finds the boundary. Adam White.
Some traffic congestion after this game, because I reckon there's 85,000 here, 70,000 are Collingwood fans, and they're staying right to the end.
Boundary throw in. Saints have it in attack. Knocked wide of the pack. Brown had it for a moment for the Pies. Blair goes to ground on top of it, and will need a bounce. 40 out from their goal.
I tell you what, if the Tigers keep going, there'll be a nice old crowd when Collingwood plays them too. Don't worry about that.
Now 45 from the St Kilda goal. Kaczynski tries to knock it wide of the pack, has to follow up. He lost it. Didak's hand pass a little indiscriminate. Milner's the tackler on Wellingham. The ball is well and truly stuck here, 50 metres out from the St Kilda goal.
Yes, I remember a Richmond-Collingwood game many, many years ago. They got 93,000. Ball comes down to Hayes, kicks into the pack, grabbed by Thomas, slings out a hand pass to Didak. The skills of this man, absolutely sublime. He gathers, little kick round the corner, marked by Lee Brown. Hand pass to Swan, back to Didak, floats the hand pass to Swan. Couple of magicians there. Pendlebury centre wing, his hand pass not so good, and Dempster gets a touch on it, but can't control it over the boundary line. Throw in below us. 81-44, Collingwood well in charge. They led by 18 at quarter time, 26 at half time, and 38 at three-quarter time. Neither ruckman touched it. Boundary throw in. Goddard burrows in for the ball. Didn't do a lot to get it out. The umpire is going to ball it up. There's the crowd posted. 81,386. That is fantastic. It's great to come to the MCG. We got 70 last week, 80 this week. What'll Richmond and Collingwood get next week?
Huge.
From the stoppage, Geary took some contact at half-back. He was able to control the ball, though. It came through Jones and Dempster and on to Hayes, and he kicks it to Patterson. Hayes follows up, delivers to Revolt. He'll mark it right half forward and slip it off to Milne. He breaks around the boundary, has a bounce, tried to wrong foot. Johnson didn't, kicked it sideways. Clever stuff from Beams. He trapped it with his toe. He put it there for Tuvey. Collingwood holding up. Beams to Lockyer to O'Brien in a tackle. He threw it away. He lost it. Stephen snaps for goal and rolls home his second of the final two. He frittered with it for too long in defence, the Magpies. And Jack Stephen makes them pay. The margin back to 31 points. 12-9-81 to the Saints, 6-14-50.
Well, it was probably, to me, an illustration of exactly what had been happening to school most of the day, where that pressure being on them, and that time, finally, they were able to get some numbers at the ball, and as Collingwood tried to do something about it, just numbers the pressure, caused the spillage, and Stephen just was the man who was able to pick it up, kicked it round the corner and got his second for the term. So, look, the game really is just going through the motions. There's no doubt about that, but this is going to be the story in this quarter about St Kilda's ability to bounce back under pressure, and I think the asset will be on a few players after this game.
Patterson in the middle gets it to Hayes. Whistle. Free kick to Lenny Hayes. You see it. Edward did 70,000 Collingwood fans. Peeling at the back, Graham. Oh, he runs into a dead end. He has to bump the ball back to Hayes. This is disgraceful what St Kilda are coming up with here. They have got no system, no idea where they're going. Quilt kicks out wide, and the mark taken by Kazitsky. And did I hear a Bronx cheer for him? Kick by Kazitsky inside the 50. All Collingwood. Very easy for Goldsack, who marks overhead. 81-50.
He gives his hand pass to O'Brien in the back pocket. He was pushed off his kick, and it has been paid as just that, a push. Steve Pearce, your play.
74 points, the advantage to Hawthorn. Jared, 11 minutes gone in the final term. 16-15, 111. Brisbane 6-1-37.
Cario from the back pocket sets them round the southern wing. It came in short of doors. Marked by Kazitsky. Hand pass to Gilbert. Took them on. Hand pass to Hayes. He got caught. Might have been penalised. Tuvey, though, Blair came up with it to Shaw. Works it out to Dawes and Didak and on to Lockyer. Lockyer puts the pies for Leon Davis. He marks. Oh, no, he dropped it. He might have had it spent. And he's over the boundary by the time he collects. And he's a little rueful. Had the chance to create something late. Jolly haphazard in his fly for the ball. Shaw has it at the back. Hand pass to Didak. Sidesteps one. Hand pass to Blair. Punches it wide. No one there to collect though. Hayes to Goddard to Gilbert. The Saints at halfback. Now to Montagna and on to Peak. He'll play the southern side. Revolt on the lead. It bounces twice before it goes past him and out of bounds.
Well, Lenny Hayes has just had his 10th possession in the last quarter. He's probably got better as the game's gone on. It's certainly not a dominant performance. Boundary throw in. Gardner leaps over the top, knocks it to Montagna from centre wing. He kicks the Revolt out wide, and he marks just inside the boundary line. Presti stands the mark. Revolt kicks to centre half forward. No mark. Not goals for the Saints. Schneider applies a tackle on O'Brien. The ball spills free. Schneider gathers and left foots for goal and bounces it through for a minor score. That's 4 behinds for Adam Schneider today. In St Kilda's tally of 6-15 to Collingwood's 12-9.
2 goals, 4 in the term for the Saints. 1 goal, 2 for Collingwood. We have just hit time on of the final two. Heath Shaw in control of the play in the defensive goal square. Ball offers a lead into the back pocket. And there's not nearly the movement that there has been throughout the afternoon.
Yeah, the game's over.
With the cue in the rack. Ball long on the kick. Swan trying to get another touch. Did he take the contested mark against Fisher? Not paid. He fights on for it at ground level. Knocked it clear. Hayes had a hand pass. It's a bit of a jumble though for the ball. Players stack in. Holding the ball free kick is paid Collingwood's way. The last Saint to rise will be Geary. Tuvey spins out of it and plays on. Hang on. There's a free kick being paid against Dawes, who was at half forward.
No, against Tuvey.
No, against Dawes down here on Dawson.
Was it?
Yeah.
No, and a 50-metre penalty. So St Kilda are going to get a gift goal here. There's not a player on the ground who sufficiently understands what's going on. But Jaron Geary has now been assigned the ball, and he's getting marched all the way to the goal square. There are umpires standing trying to offer explanations with arms outstretched. And oh, well, they run the game. Jaron Geary, he's at full forward. And he should slot this home with a minimum of fuss, but he doesn't. And that's one of the big cheers of the day from the stronghold of the Collingwood Army. At the city end as they see it behind drift away. Oh, they're a charming lot, aren't they? 29 points their lead.
Oh, I wonder if their optimism is justified here this year. I think it may be. They're going okay, the Pies. Daisy Thomas takes them on and bounces down the members' wing. 3 bounces. Floats the hand pass beautifully to Swan, who thumps the ball to centre half forward. Ball almost. No mark. No, it was side bottom. Now the Saints have it at centre half back and lose it just as fast. Brown gets the hand pass to Lockyer. Lockyer 12 metres out. Hand pass to McCaffer and he kicks the goal. He's got 3. Brent McCaffer as St Kilda keep making more mistakes. And Collingwood galloping away. 13-9 to St Kilda 6-16.
That's exactly what it is. They make more mistakes. You know, just do it time and again. I mean, it starts down one end, doesn't it? When Geary has a shot on goal, he's lucky it scored a point. But then it comes up this end and just the work of the players there, Thomas, just feeding it off. The run of Swan has just been magnificent all day. The ball's just kicked in there. St Kilda player comes out. Ball's below his knees. Total miss. Now, that's a real bad sign at AFL level. Ball spins back. Unselfish play. Great team goal. McCaffer finishes off for the Pies.
Collingwood by 35 points. Slap down to the middle of the G. Jolly's going to win the clearance. High ball to centre half forward. Fisher takes the mark for the Saints. Steve Pearce, York Park.
Jared, 16 minutes gone in the final term, and Hawthorn cruising to victory. They're 68 points clear of Brisbane, 16-15, 111 to the Lions, 7-1-43.
Fisher kicked it to Gardner, dabs it into Jones. He'll go across the centre square, not without risk. Gilbert against Lockyer. Lockyer pushes Gilbert away and he's after the ball at the back. The veteran's onto it. Lockyer hand passes to Shaw. They break everywhere, the Pies. McCaffer onto Davis. He's 55 out. He's going for beans and he takes the mark in the right forward pocket.
That was some special pass that from Leon Davis.
Beans plays on, opens up the angle. He's going to have to do it again. He's had a dry run anyway.
But all the way after Lockyer won a contest against a bloke twice his size, it was great movement by the Pies.
Ball a little while in coming back from the crowd. Leon Davis down to hand it back to Beams. The angle is tight, but he is close in. Beams measures it up, stands as if he's going to take the deliberate set shot this time. Dane Beams looking for his second goal. Stays on line, drives it home. It's joy in the stands at the MCG for Collingwood fans. Their team leads by 41 points. Late in the final term, 14-9 to 6-16.
That was a great contest by Tarkin Lockyer on the wing. Everyone's put in today. There hasn't been a passenger in the Collingwood side at all. Every person's played their role beautifully. all of a sudden that kick from Leon Davis, that was just something special. Went 45 metres, about 5 foot off the ground the whole way, and hit Beams on the chest. And don't forget Beams, he is going to be something else in years to come. He's been in the game 2 years, and he is a player to be reckoned with.
Dane Swan is up to his number 36 possessions for the number 36. Saints out of the middle, but it doesn't matter now. Hayes, little one back to Fisher. His kick to half forward. Gardner marks, cruising past Stephen. His kick out wide for Revolt, but over his head and out of bounds. Jack Stephen, you're not a patch on Leon when it comes to delivering bullets. 93 to 52. The throw in inside the 50. St Kilda in attack. Can't get it out. Their ball up.
In our post-match, we'll be breaking for a special edition of PM from 5 till 5:30 Eastern Standard Time, and then the full wash-up thereafter. We'll be with the Pies for their song at the very least. Ball's at half-forward for the Saints. Swan had a hand pass that will probably be paid. It was ineffective, though. Milne to Geary. Kicks inside the 50, not for long. Didak brings it out through Brown, who paddles it back to Didak. Now to Pendlebury, who broke through the congestion. Opens play up through Beams. Spreads it out the side bottom. Works it on to Pendlebury, who started it. Checks his kick for Davis, 60 out. Go Leon. He's picked out Lee Brown, who is achieving cult hero status up from Whipping Boy. He's kicked 2, including one absurd shot from outside the boundary. Probably got less chance of this directly in front, 40 out, but maybe that's the old Lee Brown. This is Swan coming from the field. Dane accepts the reins. Brown from 40. He's not going to miss out on the punt. He's kicked his third. And they roll on. 15-9, 99 Collingwood. Hammering St Kilda. 6-16, 52.
Well, Lee Brown been shunned from 2 clubs, one Fremantle, one North Melbourne, goes to Collingwood, as you say, Whipping Boy, Gerard, but Mick Malthouse has developed him into something. He now plays up forward, he plays in the ruck, he goes down back and fills a role, and you know what, his teammates would love him, because he does all
one bloke wouldn't.
Who?
Think about it.
Oh,
Josh Fraser.
Forget him, he's not here. But everyone else would love him because, you know what, he's dragged himself up. He's got himself up to be a real good player. And this is his performance for the year. This has been sensational. And he should love it, and so does everyone else.
And he's in the ruck for this against Patterson. Patterson beats him. Comes to Pendlebury, though. There's Brown in fighting for the second effort. Taken to ground inside the circles, and the up will bounce. Real buzz about Collingwood here today and what they might be able to achieve this season. Last flag 1990. Second bounce not going anywhere. Umpire Ray Chamberlain to bounce again. 15-9. Last time they kicked 4-17 against St Kilda. They've run the ball, they've found open spaces, and they've looked absolutely spectacular today. Third man up, Pendlebury. Hacked out of the air by Beams. The centre half. Oh, what a mark! That is phenomenal by Wellingham, running in the same direction as the ball. He took a hit and gave a hit and took the mark.
Knocked Gilbert over.
Just tremendous stuff with the game well and truly won. That is a bloke who is up for the fight.
Oh, he's getting up, Gilbert.
Absolutely tremendous mark. And Gilbert, he's counting his ribs.
And look, it was just he was courageous as well.
Absolutely.
It's just that Wellingham was just even better.
Sharrod Wellingham from right in front, 54 metres out. Good contact. Away to the right. big leap on the behind line, unsuccessful for Daisy Thomas, and through from a minor score.
It brings up the ton, though, for the Pies. 48-point leaders.
They've kicked more goals in the last few games.
Yeah,
against them.
Peek out into the back pocket on the kick in long, hoping for Willingham again. Camped himself in front of Ray and out jumped his opponents. Too far out to threaten the goal front this time. Willingham being whistled on. He'll turn and kick it backwards. Reed marks. Members wing. He goes backward to side bottom. Side bottom will probably turn and give away 30 more metres to Goldsack. Across the face of the defensive goal. Out to Thomas. He's got a couple working for him, including Lee Brown, who wants it again. The kick is shorter, though, for Blair. Right half back. Beams makes a lead. That is honoured. He receives.
Gee, the Saints have had it, haven't they?
Yeah.
They've been chasing backsides all day. They are gestuffen.
Beams is going to have to kick this long to a contest. Dawes trying to get into it. It clears them. Patterson knocks it St Kilda's defensive side of the pack. Peek onto it. Hand pass was okay. Schneider works it out back to Patterson and he kicks it to Gwilt on the southern wing. He stepped off his line, called to play on. They came at him. He wedged it out toward the boundary and Stephen Milne, the villain of the piece, kicks it backward to Dempster. Fisher wants it in the centre square. He'll get it.
Not as though Milne stuck it up and by kicking 7 either.
Hand pass to Schneider. Wider still to Blake. It's over and it's a landmark result in the narrative of the season. Collingwood goes to the top of the class in 2010. 48-point winners over St Kilda. Premiership contender, and how they've done it. They won all 4 quarters, 18 points at quarter time, 26 at the half, 38 at three-quarter time and 48 at the close. The final score at the MCG, 15-10-100 over St Kilda, 6-16-52. That's what the Magpie Army sounds like. And do they have a couple of months of fun ahead of them?
And that was also the roar from AFL House.
It was a Collingwood home game when they used to play at Victoria Park. I think they beat the Saints about 30 times in a row or something ridiculous.
And an extra cheer for good measure. Collingwood by 48 points. The goal kickers, 3 for Brown and McCaffer, 2 each for Beams and Shaw. Singles to Davis, Paul, side bottom, Dawes and Swan. For St Kilda, 2 for Stephen, both in the final term. 1 each to Revolt, Geary, Kazitsky and Milne. Still they sing in the stands at the G. A quick final score from Launceston and then in with the Pies. Steve Pearce.
Full time here, Jared, and it's 17-16, 118. Hawthorn have shellacked Brisbane 7-1-43. The Hawks by 75 points.
I'll get you to hold, Mark,
Yes,
because you'll only just start and then we'll get another rendition of a famous anthem. 15-10-100 Collingwood over St Kilda, 6-16-52. 81,386 in attendance. And Drew, you've got the ladder and it's happy rooting for the Pies.
The Pies are on top of the ladder with 12 wins and a draw, half a game ahead of Geelong. St Kilda slipped to third. Collingwood's percentage 135, Geelong's 142, St Kilda's 121, and those three are 2 games clear of Fremantle at the moment.
Let's savour it all with the Pies. Adam White is in the room.
This is unbelievable. The noise down here is... the fans are unbelievable as they welcome in the Collingwood players. I've never seen so many people in the rooms. It's like a soccer crowd. Nothing better.
No, it's not.
Just ring around now. Enjoy this, Collingwood fans. You're on top of the ladder. I tell you what, this means a lot to this football club. Even Mick Malthouse at the end just coming in and singing the last couple of bars. A very significant win for the football club. We're going to chat with Alan Didak now. I think he's going to come across. No, not just at the moment, but we're certainly having a chat to Alan Didak very, very shortly. But for the moment, I'll put it back to you, or do we have him now? Sorry, I'm just talking to myself here.
Just take a moment, Whitey.
We've got him now, actually.
Righto.
We'll go straight to him. Alan, you've made a lot of Collingwood people very happy today.
Yeah, it's about time. We've the last four times we've played them, we struggled, but today we did well. We stuck to our structures and we played the way we wanted to play.
What was the difference? Because you were awesome from the start, but if you look back to the last 4 times, what was so different?
Well, we knew last time we played them that we had a lot of opportunities to score, and it probably cost us in the end because we kicked a lot of points, but we knew, with our game plan, we believe in it, and we just set out today to stick by it and see what happens and come off well.
What does this mean to the team to be able to knock off one of the top 2 teams in the competition? Well, now you're on top of the ladder. Is it significant to the footy club?
Yeah, well, look, we're in a good position. We've got, I think, 5 to 6 games to go. We want to make the top 4, and we put ourselves in a good spot.
Boys, Alan Didak has his headphones on.
Alan, you are a contender. That was what happened today. You are a contender for the finals and for the grand final.
Yeah, I suppose you when you beat good teams like that by that much, I'm sure you're a contender. But look, we've got a lot of things that we need to work on, and we're going to work on those in the next 5-6 weeks.
Tell me about Lee Brown. What an outstanding performance by that man.
Yeah, he's a terrific guy. He plays with his heart, and week in, week out, we just rely on him just to if he doesn't mark the ball, he brings it to ground, so he makes the smaller players in the forward line work, I suppose.
One of the things that stood out to me today, Alan, was the actual spread of effort. I mean, yourself and obviously Swanee, Thomas and that got a lot of the footy, but I thought the spread of effort by people and some of the things like the unrewarded things that I remarked during the course of the day where Collingwood players were running 10 or 15 metres to run past a chasing St Kilda bloke just so their teammate could get a kick. It wasn't about getting on the end of it and just getting soft. It was doing those things, playing for your teammate. Just was an outstanding feature of the Collingwood team today.
Yeah, thanks, mate. I think we pride ourselves on one-on-one footy, and last time we played them, they probably beat us in contested footy. So something that we wanted to work on, and I even sit back on the bench at time to time, just watching the players going in hard at the ball, and that's what we want from them week in, week out. So if we can continue to do that, we'll go all right.
Yeah, and the 15 goals, but 9 different goal kickers, which again was just an outstanding feature of the day.
Yeah, look, we don't rely on one key forward or 2. We rely on a lot of players in our forward line to kick goals, and even our midfielders boys as well. And I think even he short kicked a couple today, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to shut him up this week.
One of the other things that stood out to me, I know it was down the other end of the ground when the ball did go, and you talk about Shaw and things like that. I thought Ben Reid today, really his ability to win the one-on-ones was absolutely fantastic. And also Benny Johnson, who has been given a bit of a role through the midfield and a running player, but today to go back on Mill, not only stitch him up and not allow him to have an impact, but to work off him and set off was just some real pluses.
Yeah, look, they're both great players, and Jono, he's been around for a while and he's come runner-up twice in the best of fair, so he's a good player, so he knows what to do, and we give him a role each week, and he sticks by it and does well. Reid is just a young player, he's learning the game, and look, he played terrific today, and hopefully he can do it for the rest of the year.
Al, I was really happy to see at the start of the game your harassment skills, your work on the mark to block things and do all those things, the things that turn the ball over so much. You're right up there with them.
Yeah, well, that's what we pride ourselves on. And I think you look at the top 4 to 5 teams, they do exactly the same. And if you can put pressure on the opposition and force them to turn it over, you go a long way to winning.
Compliment to yourself today, I thought also, Alan, was the fact that they sent their number one shutdown man, Jones, to you. And so your work rate, you just had to lift it enormously. And the spread of, I've got you down in the situation of just 7, 10, 21 and then 33. The spread over the game was very pleasing.
Yeah, look, Jones is a terrific shutdown player, and with the system they play, it's very hard to get into the game. But I'm sure, players who work hard and get to the contests, you try and get yourself involved.
You see him every week. We keep marvelling at Dane Swan. He's got to be Brownlow favourite. How would you describe him as a player? What does he give to the Pies?
Everything is heart and soul. He's just a workhorse. He works so hard, and that's why he gets so much of the ball. He's a smart player, and that's why he's up there with the best.
Be a mile in front in the club best and fairest, wouldn't he?
Oh, I think so, yeah. I'm pretty sure.
What about yourself?
Him or Daisy or Scotty Pennebury, I'm sure they'll be up there.
Alan Didak.
Yeah, you had 23 possessions after half-time today. You did? Well done.
Oh, cheers. Yeah, I didn't know that. I don't count my possessions, but yeah, thanks for letting me know.
Well done, Alan.
No worries, guys.
Congratulations.
Thanks, guys.
Collingwood over St Kilda by 48 points, 15-10-100 to the Saints 6-16-52. Hugely significant result for the season. The other game at Launceston, Hawthorn 17-16-118 over the Brisbane Lions 7-1-43. And in terms of the ball winners, 39 for Hodge, but 39 for Sewell, who was axed at selection, got the late call up. That trick for the second time this year works for Alistair Clarkson.
Was he really axed, do you reckon?
No, he was. And
everybody would be asked to be dropped and brought back in.
Yeah. So there you go. For our Northern Grandstand audience, we won't speak again. You'll head off to your evening's entertainment with rugby and rugby league, because we're all going to break shortly for an election special news bulletin, followed by PM. For the rest of the nation, you'll rejoin us in a half an hour's time. We'll get the full summary of how Collingwood beat St Kilda and what it means. We'll get the wash-up from the Saints room as well, and David Parkin and Steve Pearce will fill you in with all of the details that have happened at Launceston. So half an hour to dissect the events affecting the nation today with an election called, and then we'll move you back into footy mode. So stay on ABC local radio and you can't go wrong. Collingwood and Hawthorn, the winners today. More soon.
I will be asking Australians for their trust so that we can move forward together.
Why should people trust Julia Gillard when even Kevin Rudd couldn't?
The Prime Minister Julia Gillard and the opposition leader Tony Abbott landing the first blows of the election campaign. I'm Jackie Munn with ABC News. The nation will go to the polls on the 21st of August. Political correspondent Louise Yaxley reports.
The Prime Minister, Julia Gillard, has a theme for the next 5 weeks.
Moving forward with confidence.
The opposition leader Tony Abbott dismisses it.
Moving forward is utterly content-free.
Ms Gillard says the economy and education are her top priorities.
I believe in the transformative power of a high-quality education, bringing the budget to surplus by 2013. 2017.
But Mr Abbott says she can't be trusted.
If we stay with Labor, we'll be moving forward to more debt, more taxes, more spending and more boats.
Mr Abbott's tried to neutralise the industrial relations issue by promising he would leave Labor's laws unchanged for 3 years. But Ms Gillard says that's not credible. She argues he's always believed in the Howard government's work choices laws. Louise Yaxley, ABC News, Canberra.
And the Prime Minister has listed climate change as among her top 3 priorities, but the opposition says it's the only major party with a clear policy. Susan McDonald reports from Parliament House.
Julia Gillard has sought to gain the upper hand on climate change. She's taken a veiled swipe at Tony Abbott when saying she'll have more to say about her approach during the campaign.
They will be policies coming from a person who believes climate change is real.
But Mr Abbott has highlighted the Coalition's direct action measures and attacked Labor's plans for an emissions trading scheme.
You don't help the environment by damaging the economy.
The Greens leader Bob Brown says both parties have fallen at the first hurdle.
Confidence and optimism won't give us the answer to climate change. A carbon price will.
The Greens expect to pick up more Senate seats at the election. Susan McDonald, ABC News, Canberra.
The embattled head of the Victorian Bushfire Reconstruction and Recovery Authority, Christine Nixon, is stepping down from her position to take up a voluntary role. Kirsten Venice reports.
Christine Nixon has chaired the Victorian Bushfire Reconstruction and Recovery Authority for 18 months. Earlier this year, she faced criticism at the Bushfires Royal Commission of her role on Black Saturday when she was the Police Chief Commissioner, and she's been under pressure ever since. This afternoon, she announced she would be stepping down from her position to become a voluntary advisor to the state government on bushfire recovery. The chairman of the Marysville Community Recovery Committee, Tony Thompson, says she's done a good job.
We look forward to having her around to still help us and be in touch. And I think not being an employee has its advantages.
In a statement, Ms Nixon says it was a tough decision to make, but the right one.
Suspected militants armed with assault rifles have killed up to 16 bus passengers in an ambush in northwest Pakistan. Officials say several people were also injured in the attack near the Afghan border. The passengers were being escorted by security forces to the city of Peshawar when they were ambushed by the armed men. Militant attacks are on the rise in northwest Pakistan, despite the army's major offensive last year to clear the area of tribal fighters. A long-lost film featuring an appearance by Charlie Chaplin will be shown for the first time in almost a century at a film festival in the US. A Thief Catcher is a 10-minute comedy made in 1914. It was discovered last year at an antique sale by a film historian and restorer who bought it for just $100. The man who found it, Paul Gericke, describes the moment he realised that Charlie Chaplin was one of the actors in the film.
2 Keystone cops come walking out, and I actually thought to myself, I said, that looks like Chaplin. Stopped, got up, rewound the projector, watched it again, and it finally sank in that I had found a completely previously undocumented, unknown Charlie Chaplin film appearance.
Now look at the weather. And Perth tomorrow, cold in the morning, partly cloudy 16, Adelaide a few showers and 14, Melbourne rain developing 13, Hobart a shower or 2 13, Canberra partly cloudy and 11, Sydney fine mostly.
And actually went on with, you said, the 9 goal kickers, and they really put to rest this ability of St Kilda's able to strangle you and keep you down by kicking those 15 goals. Fantastic performance. From a St Kilda perspective, this is one where I reckon you don't spend too much analysing, Mark, because there's not much to be gained now. This I would suggest this was totally out of character. This is one where Ross Lyon and his coaching team have got to get them back on and refocus doing the things that they need to do.
Can you believe that Mick Malthouse is going to be replaced?
Well, we can, because we've been told.
But he's no good. Obviously he's no good.
He might win one on the way out, Mark.
Isn't that ridiculous?
Yeah, what do you do now then?
I don't know. You tell me.
Collingwood by 48 points.
No, let Eddie tell us. You have a wonderful knack of asking a question that's indefensible.
Jared Cameron.
What do you think I ask it for?
You give us all the numbers.
St Kilda finished with 3 more disposals than Collingwood, 387 to 384. St Kilda had 181 hand passes to Collingwood 162, but with their 206 kicks, St Kilda hit their target only 66% of the time, whereas Collingwood hit the target 74% of the time with their 222 kicks. Collingwood smashed St Kilda in the tackle count 77 to 54. They had 9 more marks, 5 more entries inside 50, 1 more hit out. Free kicks went to St Kilda 20 to 15, but Collingwood were able to kick 3 goals from those free kicks, whereas St Kilda didn't kick any goals from their 2 free kicks inside 50. Individually, Dane Swan was the leading ball winner on the ground. He had 21 kicks and 15 hand passes for 36 possessions. 10 of them contested. He had 9 entries inside 50. Alan Didak, 23 possessions in the second half for a total of 33. Pendlebury and Thomas, 27. Wellingham, 23. Luke Ball against his old side had 20 disposals, and Danes Beams also had 20 disposals. For St Kilda, Lee Montagna, 21 kicks and 13 hand passes for 34 disposals. He also had 8 clearances from the stoppages. Sam Fisher took 18 marks to go along with his 33 disposals. Lenny Hayes worked his way into the game in the second half with 18 second half disposals for a total of 29. Brendan Goddard 28, Gilbert 24, Geary and Jones both 20. Dream Team points, Dane Swan for Collingwood 138, Pendlebury 119, Thomas 116, Didak 104, Wellingham 102 and Luke Ball had 101, and for St Kilda the most on the ground was held by Sam Fisher, 143, Lee Montagna, 133, Hayes, 111, Jones, 97, Goddard and Gilbert, both 96.
The final score, Collingwood 15-10, 100 over St Kilda 6-16, 52. We can head down into the St Kilda rooms where Adam White is with Brendan Goddard.
Yeah, thanks for that, Jared. I'm sitting down with Brendan Goddard, who's got lots of ice all over his body. As I look at a lot of the other St Kilda players, it's much the same, a bruising encounter, Brendan.
Yeah, probably obviously didn't turn out the way we had hoped, but they played pretty well today, and put it bluntly, we were really, really poor. So we'll walk away with this and assess the game. And coming in this week, we probably didn't train as well as we had either. So our preparation probably suffered a little bit, and it probably showed today.
I was interested watching you before, having a chat to Lee Montagna, Sam Gilbert, even Nick Del Santo, who didn't play today, just trying to work out exactly what went wrong on the footy field. Can you take us through a few of the things that just didn't work for you?
I think you don't have to be Einstein to figure out that our skills are as poor as I think they've ever been today. Turnover goals, I think, out of they kicked 14, they scored 12 on turnover goals. So we didn't help the cause there, and they were good enough to finish at the end of the day. But look, we've been up for a while, and we can learn from this. It's not the end of the day. We talk about it's a marathon, not a sprint, and all credit to them. They played well, and as I said before, we were really poor.
Going into the game, one of the reasons why St Kilda started favourite was the fact that you'd really almost suffocated the Magpies in the past 4 times you've played them. That wasn't necessarily the case today. Did they come with something different, or was it more about you guys perhaps not coming to play?
No, not really. I think history counts for nothing in this game. You're only as good as your next game. So, but they obviously turned up today and played good footy. So, and we not taking anything away from them, but we were really poor. So we didn't bring our A game today, and our great effort. It was patchy. And third quarter, I think we're on top at stages, and then just couldn't finish on the scoreboard. It was a bit of a role reversal. Last time they kicked 4 goals 19 or something. It was similar today, kicked 6 goals 17 or something. So we didn't have ourselves there. But as I said before, that they played really well, took their chances.
One final one from me. At half-time, when Nick Revolt kicked that goal, you get in at the main break. What was the feeling like?
Oh, the feeling was fine. We acknowledged that we played pretty poor. and they were on top of us. But we just focused on the first contest in the next quarter. That's what we did, and I think they got a real early one, and then we felt like we were on top for the next 20 minutes, but we just couldn't put scoreboard pressure on them and couldn't finish at the end of the day.
Stanell's Mark McClure, go for your life. Brendan's got his headphones on.
Brendan, obviously you're disappointed, and I would understand that because the club prides itself on what it does. I'm interested if you can share with us that Ross Lyon was quite animated at three-quarter time. There were some things that obviously were disturbing him. Are you able to share some of what his comments were?
No, I'm not going to go into detail, boys, to be honest. That's in-house stuff, so yeah, I'll just keep it between us.
Okay, so he wasn't talking about lack of intensity or match-up or sticking to your game plan or structure?
No, I'm not going to dive into it.
Okay, fair enough. Well, can I just ask you this? Did you get the sense that we had in watching the game today that one of the keys to St Kilda is when we get the ball in your back half there, you're able to switch, but you just couldn't seem to get that next stage of break on a continued basis and cut them open? Yeah, I think at stages we did, and then when we were out, we just turned the ball over and the ball went back overhead for a goal. So before they kicked 11 out of their 14 goals, 12 goals from turnover, so we didn't help the cause there, and they were good enough to pressure us and cause a turnover.
Brendan, is that the worst defeat? That's the worst defeat I've seen you for the last 3 to 4 years. I've never seen you play that poorly.
Yeah, it's probably fair to say. I think our skills are as poor as I think they've ever been in 3 or 4 years as well.
Let me ask you a question about Justin, because it's a very difficult one for you to answer. But he seriously does not seem to be up to AFL standard at this stage.
Oh, look, yeah, it's a hard one to answer, and I'm not going to go into personal opinions or anything like that because he's a valuable team member and he's come off an injury, so he's got a bit of work to do, obviously, and I think it showed today against good teams, but because his role within the team, we know what it is, and he knows what that is, so as long as he keeps his attitude and his work rate up, we're comfortable with that.
The other one too, Brendan, stood out to me is that I think St Kilda is known for that fantastic intensity, but at one stage the stats were given at three-quarter time in terms of tackles, and at that stage Collingwood 60 to 29. Mm-hmm. Yeah, any reason for that? Do you think that is there a situation where you just feel flat some days, or that just intensity or that quick reaction thing?
Certainly there is, but we're all about it's not how you feel, it's how you act, and I think they probably got the extra tackles out of their forward 50. I thought their forward 50 pressure was well above ours, and we struggled to get any pressure, or when we did get the ball in there, just came out with ease. So that's what it felt like, but we'll assess it during the week.
When you do assess that, is there times though in a game like this where everything just seems to go pear-shaped, that it's not worthwhile getting too deep in what went wrong?
Yeah, a little bit. There's just days that it feels like everything's going against you, and it was definitely one of those. The ball's bouncing in their hands and all that kind of thing, but it actually feels like that a bit out there, and front and squares, or a long punch, a 30-metre punch just goes down their throat or whatever. But they brought the effort and the intensity, and at the end of the day they got rewarded.
Is it worthwhile forgetting about? Just walking away from the ground, closing your mind and saying, well, that was just a bad day for us, and let's move on?
We can acknowledge that, but you got to assess every game, and we're all about improving, and today I think was just a bit of a reality check, and we'll go away and assess it, isn't it? I don't think we've ever just walked away from a game and wiped it.
I wouldn't watch it if I was you guys.
No, we won't be watching it, but the coaches will.
You know what I mean?
The coaches do a good job of recognising areas we need to improve, and I think that's a credit to the coaches and where Ross is so good.
Good on you, mate.
You did mention just an interrupted preparation perhaps during the week. Is that illness within the club?
No, not at all. Just some days you train poorly, and others you're up and about, and we probably felt like we didn't train that well, and we were a bit scrappy, and skills are a bit poor, and it showed against a good team today.
The Hawks have had a big win today, and they're threatening. It'll be a massive game next week.
Yeah, the Hawks are up and about, and they're a quality team. They've proven that. They've won a grand final, and they've got some good players up and about, so it'll be another good test.
Brendan, we appreciate your time.
Cheers, fellas.
Brendan Goddard from the St Kilda Rooms. Friday night at Docklands, the Saints and the Hawks does set up well. Collingwood over the Saints by 48. Mick Malthouse, just the start of his press conference.
Was this as good a team performance, all-round team performance as you could put on this year?
I don't know if today's game has any more at stake than the next game or the one before. The opposition have clearly over the last season or two been outstanding. So boys played very well against them. I'm not going to draw best wins, worst wins, second best wins. That's not for me to start to compare wins.
What was different about today and from the previous four? Because they held you to 40s and 50s and
Well, we held ourselves to some of those scores.
And today you also managed to top the 100, which they've only conceded 3 figures twice this season.
What's that mean?
It was a winning score, it was a good score. It's something you haven't managed to do against them in the past couple of years.
Yeah, well, I guess they've been that good.
And so what was the difference today?
Took our chances. Didn't mark the ball 16 times or whatever we did, 10 or 11 times inside the front 50 and kicked 10 points this time. We kicked a few goals. Helps with confidence. Helps to put pressure back on the opposition.
We're not getting very far there. Mick, Collingwood 48-point winners over St Kilda. To Launceston, where Hawthorn have had a mighty win over the Brisbane Lions. David Parkin was down there to call the match for us with Alistair Nicholson.
Hawthorn has consolidated its position in the top 8 with its biggest ever win at its home away from home. They were very, very good against a very, very disappointing Brisbane Lions here at York Park in Launceston this afternoon. The final score 17-16, 118 to 7-1-43, a 75-point margin to the Hawks, David Parkin. It was a comprehensive display and they had a lot more of the footy. The inside 50s in the end, 64-25. The Lions were smashed.
They would be delighted, absolutely delighted, because on a day of 2 significant milestones, young Birchall, the Tasmanian, and certainly Chance Bateman with 150 games and life membership, they wanted to do something special. But I think over and above that, this was a game that they've taken apart. At long last, they've put somebody away. They've played some good footy along the way. They've lost a couple of close ones and they've won some excellent contests. But this was a game I thought started pretty even before we bounced the ball. People would laugh afterwards and say that was a ludicrous look at what was a one-sided contest. But I saw a number of the people I knew from Brisbane prior to the game and they were very confident. Franklin missing, their captain back in Brown and Favola in combination in the front half. They were going to deliver something. Well, it wasn't to be in any shape or form. Hawthorn started a little bit of a stutter in the second quarter when Brisbane went with the breeze, but in the finish it was the most comprehensive, I think, complete performance that Hawthorn has produced in the 2010 season.
It's now 8 wins out of the last 9 for the Hawks. What about the Lions? Because after such a bright start to this season, they've fallen away terribly. They've won 1 of their last 12. Michael Voss said at the start of the season there was a window of opportunity. They've called in a number of players from other clubs, recycled players. Brendan Favola had 2 kicks today. 1 goal for 2 kicks.
Well, they'd be disappointed in that. And you're quite right. Vossi came out and made a public statement that he thought by adding 2 that they could complete the window of opportunity for 2010 season, and they added very experienced players. Some of those today in Buchanan, Staker, Maguire and Favola hardly, annoyed the scorer, I think, for the day. It was disappointing. So what he thought he could achieve, and I believed him because he's a very practical and honest sort of bloke, that he could get this team to to take a flag in his first year. Unheard of in history. It's usually 2 or 3 seasons to put a group together. I don't care how good they are. They haven't played together. And I think, sadly, the expectation went up on the back of what the coach said publicly, and they have not been. They've been smashed with injuries, don't get me wrong. It'd be unfair to say that he's been given an even hand, because he hasn't. But they have struggled. The good thing is that out of today, that Redden and Rockcliffe and Hanley and young Polkinghorne all look to me as though they can play, so that they've gained in their disappointment. They will have gained some players for the future. But it ain't going to be a Brisbane Lions season 2010. But I think Hawthorn are bubbling along now, and they're getting to a point that nobody, even the big boys, Collingwood, St Kilda, Geelong and the Western Bulldogs, aren't going to like it if Hawthorn get over the line in good shape around September.
They'd be getting nervous, wouldn't they? You mentioned the milestones of Birchall and Bateman. Of course, Ash McGrath playing his 150th. It ended in disappointment for the Lions today, but we caught up with Chance Bateman. Naturally, he's thrilled with the result today. Chance Bateman, firstly, congratulations. You're the first Indigenous player to play 150 games for the Hawthorn football football club, and you've done it in style with the club's biggest ever win here at York Park. It must be a really upbeat mood in here.
Yeah, it was a pretty special day because Grant got to play his 100 as well, so 2 milestones and great win, and 4 points we really needed to put ourselves in a good shape leading into the later part of the year.
I know football's a team game, but personally, what does it mean to you to be the first Indigenous player to play 150 for this club?
It's pretty special. I mean, early on, when I first got to the club, I sort of set these little goals along the way because of the history of the club. We hadn't had many Indigenous players there, so I set sort of little personal goals for myself along the way, try and be the first to play 50 and then 100 and now 150. So, yeah, I'm pretty proud of that achievement, and it's something that will always be pretty special to me.
And the players really rose to the occasion for yourself and Birch today. I mean, you've absolutely smashed the opposition on the scoreboard. 150 more possessions today as well. Have you had a more complete performance this year?
No, probably not. I don't think you go out and try and play any better for milestone games, but there was a real need for 4 points after last week. We just got rolled by Geelong right at the last hurdle, so this game was pretty important for us in terms of getting a win and those 4 points to help us out for later in the year. So it was good to have the win for Birch and myself, but more importantly for the team. Those 4 points are pretty important for us.
And you can do without Lance Franklin, you've proved as well. I'm sure you're pretty keen to get him back, but Jordan Lewis and Roughhead with 4 apiece were pretty good for you today. Yeah, Louis especially, he's one of our leaders at the club, and to sacrifice his game, I know he ended up with four goals, but he had a bit of a sacrificial role of trying to stop Travis Johnson and McGrath trying to negate their run out of half back, and he's worked out a perfect balance of when to shut them down and then when to get off the leash and get a little lead up and a couple of goals. So he's working it out pretty well, but to take on that role as well as he has as one of the leaders at the club, it really shows the way for the rest of the playing group. And just quickly, Chance, the Saints next week, you've now gone 8 from 9. What about next week? That looms as a huge one. Yeah, it's another massive game for us, and we spoke about it today. We're sort of just looking to improve each week and sort of master our craft. We've had a little bit of change in the way we go about things, and we're really trying to perfect that now. So looks like a big game Friday night. Enjoy. Thanks Chance, mate.
Cheers. Thanks.
So the Hawks recording their biggest ever win at York Park, and they've played 25 games here, 75 points the final margin. Roughhead kicked 4, but he still had the yips a bit. 4 goals, 4 and 1 out on the full. Lewis kicked 4 as well. 3 goals to Clinton Young, singles to Osborne, Ellis, Campbell Brown, Rioli. Wade Skipper got his first goal for the Hawks, and Peterson as well. For the Lions, Jonathan Brown worked pretty hard and did pretty well in his return from injury. He was starved of good delivery, still kicked 3. Brendan Favola kicked 1, but only had the 2 kicks as mentioned. Power and Buchanan kicked the other goals. The final score from York Park, 17-16, 118 to 7-1, 43. Look out, the Hawks are coming.
So that's the tale from Launceston. At the MCG, we've got the better players and the votes before we tidy up. Tonight's feature broadcast, the national game, is the Western Bulldogs against Port Adelaide from Darwin. And if you're in Western Australia, you'll hear Essendon and the West Coast Eagles from Docklands. Stan, the better players today.
Well, for St Kilda, very few. Fisher, fantastic four-quarter performance. I thought he and Gilbert also down the back half, they tried to stem the flow. Montagna, Goddard, Hayes, I suppose after half-time, but again, most of their work was really done down the back half and they couldn't get forward and hurt. For Collingwood, Swan just again reinforced why he's probably the premier midfielder in the competition. He was ably supported by Didac, Thomas, Ball and Penderbury. They were just superb. Just a couple of little people down the back half. I thought Reid, fantastic there. Also Johnson, 19 possessions and ran off and destroyed Milne. And I thought Brown was just super. I mean, he set the cat amongst the pigeons early and then went on with it. And a little tick here, I thought today for the first time this year, Leon Davis just about captured the sparkle, Mark.
Yeah, okay.
I gave one vote to Lee Brown, who really is a bits and pieces player for Collingwood. Been there for 2 or 3 years now. He gets much maligned by his supporters and all those sorts of things. But wow, how good was he today? He actually set the whole game up. Thought he was fantastic. Best big man on the ground. I gave 2 to Alan Didak, who's just a class act. Understands the game beautifully. Plays it with good passion and good pace and great skills. Great to watch. He's a super player. And 3 to the best player in the competition at this stage, Dane Swan, who just continues to get better and better. His actual work rate is unbelievable, where he gets from one end of the ground to the other at the pace and racks up numbers like you cannot believe. Great player.
3 to Swan, 2 to Didak and 1 to Brown.
Now, Jared, you're in charge of tallying up our votes. Swan is the leader. How many times have you been BOG? He must be racking up a world record.
Yeah, well, he's got 24 votes, and I'd suggest to you that he'd have 6 best on grounds in that.
That's
perhaps
amazing.
3 twos or a combination thereof. He came in with a 5-vote lead over Barlow, who obviously won't play again, and Hodge. I suspect Hodge will, he'll definitely be in the votes from Launceston. He may well have the 3, so they will have paired away at the top of the competition if that's the case.
Oosthuizen leads by 5 in the British Open. I don't think he'll be winning, but if Swan leads by 5 in this, I think he will be winning.
Yes, I'd like he's still $4. What's his name? I'd like the $4 about Swan in our award now. Collingwood 15-10-100 over St Kilda 6-16-52. A terrific crowd of 81,500 at the MCG in to see it. Tonight, tell me Essendon will beat West Coast.
Oh yeah, only because they're playing here. West Coast can't win away, can they?
Surely not.
No, surely not.
Nor can Essendon.
Can Essendon win anywhere?
And the Bulldogs will escape the curse of the new coach, won't they?
Oh, yeah, well, that's the only thing really going for the Power, isn't there? And, I mean, and they don't mind travelling. I would suggest that Western Bulldogs really discovered a bit of form last week.
I'll see you for the Inquisition tomorrow. Mark, we'll chat next week. Drew, you'll be calling Carlton Sydney. We look forward to that because that's got high stakes as well.
I'll look after the Blues for you tomorrow, Mark.
I'll look after the car park for next week.
After the news, Grandstand AFL continues. Matt Clinch and Adam Rosenbachs with Saturday Night Spin. We have enjoyed the work of the Pies, though, this afternoon. They are premiership contenders and will finish the round on top of the ladder.
ABC News with Jackie Munn. Australians have a 5-week election campaign to decide how they will vote in a federal election on the 21st of August. Political correspondent Louise Yaxley reports.
Less than a month after becoming Prime Minister, Julia Gillard has asked the Governor-General to call the election.
Today I seek a mandate from the Australian people to move Australia forward.
Ms Gillard says it will be a tough contest and a robust campaign. The opposition leader Tony Abbott predicts a dirty fight.
I expect this to be a filthy campaign from the Labor Party.
Ms Gillard says her priorities are education and the economy.
By making sure that the budget bottom line doesn't change by 1 cent during the election campaign.
Mr Abbott says she can't be trusted.
There is a real risk in this election. It's that a bad government will get the second chance that it doesn't deserve and that Australia can't afford.
Voters have until 8 o'clock on Monday night to enrol. Louise Yaxley, ABC News, Canberra.
And the federal opposition leaders bid to neutralise industrial relations as